Oh, Cyril, I think we messed up like big time. It's been a year of running mouths, way down in the south, throwing shade across the ocean, loud and full of doubt. First we said you're ill-informed, didn't think you'd care. Then the ambassador got nasty, floating insults in the air. We poked the bear, we pulled the tail, now we're reading the rejection mail. Ramamola started the fire, Green Natasha raised it higher. Vincent and Crispin joined the charade, with Thick leading the insult parade. We mocked the diplomat, we had a laugh, but now we're looking at the economic graph. Oh, Donald, wait, don't close the gate. Can't we just kiss and make up? We see the G20 list and our name is missed. It's a nightmare from which we need to wake up. Miami is sunny and we need the money to keep the jobs flowing and the trade deal sweet. Put aside the pride, let us back inside. Don't leave us stranded on the lonely street. Can't we just kiss and make up? Sarah was joking, thought he was the boss, but he didn't calculate the total cost. Mocking the envoys, acting so cool, now we look like the kids kicked out of school. You had enough, you drew the line. No Miami ticket, no invite to dine. We're sitting here holding an empty plate, realizing way too late. Maguenya was typing hit and send, thinking the patience would never end. But you saw the clips and you heard the slight, now we're shivering in the diplomatic night. The poverty's high, the struggle is real, we're desperate to sign that trade of peace. Oh, Donald, wait, don't close the gate. Can't we just kiss and make up? We see the G20 list and our name is missed. It's a nightmare from which we need to wake up. Miami is sunny and we need the money to keep the jobs flowing and the trade deal sweet. Put aside the pride, let us back inside. Don't leave us stranded on the lonely street. Can't we just kiss and make up? Oh, we know we said some things that sting. We treated diplomacy like a boxing ring, but the rand is shaking. The people need work, we promise not to act like such a jerk. Swallow the ego, drop the disdain, or we're gonna be left out in the rain. Oh, Donald, wait, don't close the gate. Can't we just kiss and make up? We see the G20 list and our name is missed. It's a nightmare from which we need to wake up. Miami is sunny and we need the money to keep the jobs flowing and the trade deal sweet. Put aside the pride, let us back inside. Don't leave us stranded on the lonely street. Can't we just kiss and make up? Oh, come on, Ainsley, pick up the phone. Don't make us go it alone. And Miami looks nice this time of year. Just one little kiss. Mwah. Make up, please.
Good evening, folks. Court is in session. The Honorable Wyatt will now assume his role on the bench. Before us, we have politicians guilty of defamation, mocking, racist bigotry, and hatred. ANC, how do you plead? Not guilty, Your Honor. Does the state oppose bail? You damn skip we oppose bail. All right, the ANC is remanded for 365 days, no bail. The court of public opinion. That's right, folks. Ooh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Wow. Oof. That is something, huh? My goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Oh, my. Wow, that was fun. Oh my goodness. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Excuse me. What happened there? Why is that not adding in my cart? There we go. Ah, night court. Yeah, night court. Oh, I don't need that. That's a barrister's one, so. Well, that one looks better than this one. Excuse me. How's it going, folks? Welcome back to the program. Oh, excuse me. Gosh, I'm having a hard time here. All right. So, great scene. You like that? Guilty. Ron Paul is definitely playing with fire. But hey, folks, tonight Donald Trump pulled out all the cannons. Whew, boy. Yep, and we're no longer playing around. It's on like Donkey Kong now, and we're no longer playing. It's serious now. It has gotten serious. It is. I'm going to cover that here in a moment. I did a video on a short while ago, and I'm not sure if you all saw that on the channel. Maybe you did, maybe you didn't. But I did a video talking about that. Well, a few people seen it. It's early, just now after 5 o'clock. So about 1,000 people seen it already. So not bad. Excuse me. So that video is that Trump deletes South Africa content from the G20 website. Did you see that? Oof, my goodness. They deleted the content already. Day one, and Trump is not messing around. Let's go ahead and get to that. I want to bring that up on the screen here. Well, that's not what I want. Well, I'll put that over here. That's my video. But what I want to do is bring the news over here. So actually, put that there. Give me a second there. Somehow I lost the news. There we go. All right, there he goes. So Trump has wiped out the G20. So South Africa, it's as if they never had the G20. Well, that ain't good, man. That ain't good. Yep. Anyway, so let me just cover that story very quickly here. South China News, South China Morning Post has reported that Donald Trump has scrubbed the G20 official website. And if you go check it out, it's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. No doubt about it. U.S. Presidency G20 begins with the first ever exclusion of a member nation. Wow. Oh, it's getting hot up in here, folks. It's getting hot up in here. Oh, U.S. President Donald Trump Monday launched the U.S. presidency of the G20 by wiping clean the website of outgoing host South Africa, which he's not inviting to next year's summit. The G20 website now has a picture of Trump in black and white. It says, Miami 2026, the best is yet to come. So this is the website, and the page says technical difficulties. We're sorry. The site is currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please try again in a few minutes. Oh, my goodness. They want to whine about it. They want to whine. They want to whine about, oh, Trump is picking on us. He's bullying us. Well, now he is. The game is up now, man. Trump has been sitting back patiently. He's pretty much ignored this. He hasn't called out South African politicians, hasn't called out the ANC, hasn't called out Ron Paul. Even though Ron Paul went to the White House and lied to him in front of everybody, lied to him in front of the world. I've never seen this before, Mr. President. Can you tell you where it was at? Yeah, it was in South Africa. So that is what the G20 official website looks like now. We're sorry. This site is currently experiencing technical difficulties. Please try again in a few minutes. Oh, that's a song. That's a song. We got to do a song. We got to do it now, folks. we got to do it now, okay? But let me show you the rest of the news, and we're going to make a song. We're going to make a song. Oh, yeah, the vice is starting to grip. Then, so you saw that, and let me show you what the new one looks like. So that's the official website, all right? G20.org, South Africa. And there's the G20.org, the main page. The best is yet to come. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. And here's my take on it. Check it out. Trump scrubs. I got Trump painting the wall over. How you like that? I made that earlier. Oh, my goodness. That's what I came up with for Trump. I got him painting over the G20 sign. my goodness. Oh, we got to make a song now. We got to make a song. Okay, let me get some notes together on this bad boy. See if I still got space left in this thing. That was too funny. My goodness. What's that? All right, let's see. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. Got to give enough content here so I get the right stuff. What did I miss? Sorry for that, folks. It takes a little bit of time. What's this? Sean Griesel says, keep up the great channel. Thank you. Well, hang on for this song. This should be good. Do the same picture with Trump, but with Obama's legacy painting. Yeah, that would be good, Holden. That would be good. But I've already gotten rid of it, so I'd have to try it again. You know, it never does the same thing. This was just one crony thrown under the bus. The rod is everywhere. Oh, you're talking about the judge. Yeah, he's obviously been briefed about, or he watched my video. Hey, Pricky, what's going on there, man? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I make these songs. Just letting you all know, Trump said they aren't suspending the refugee program for South Carolina. Yeah, I know that. I've covered that. That's not news. I mean, watch my channel. You'll find that out. Okay, let me see. Create lyrics, upbeat female vocals song. The Don cleans up G20. Oops, there's a typo. Let me fix that. It doesn't get typos. So if you get a typo, it, yeah. Okay, so where is that fixed? All right, let's see if it works. I told it to do pop. I don't want a country song. I did a country earlier. Oh, boy. Let's see. They want to mess with the bull. Now they're going to get the horn. I'm telling you, man. You mess with Trump, you mess with Trump. It's also on the website for the State Department. Let me find that image. Hang on a second here. There it is. The United States assumes presidency of the G20. Get that over here. Full screen. There we go. All right, so now let's show you that. This is what they said in the statement. Effective today, December 1st, 2025, the United States assumed the 2026 presidency of the Group of 20 under President Trump's leadership. We will return the G20 to focusing on its core mission of driving economic growth and prosperity to produce results. As we usher in these much-needed reforms, we will prioritize three core themes: unleashing economic prosperity by limiting regulatory burdens, unlocking affordable and secure energy supply chains, and pioneering new technologies and innovations. We look forward to hosting the G20 Leaders Summit in one of America's greatest cities, Miami, Florida, during the 250th anniversary of the United States. Man, oh man, oh man. Well, that says it all, doesn't it? Trump wiped out the South African content. Oof. Okay, still getting my song together here. Give me a minute here. Man, this will not be good. Vote for anyone. Huh? What's this? What is all in one PC? Where can I find your tribute to Steve song? I haven't posted it yet, Xavier. Steve sent me a bunch of images. I have to make it, but I had to go to the Veterans Organization tonight and work with the kitchen staff. And so I didn't get back until about 8:30, and I had to prep for this. Plus, I made a video. Yes, shutdown is not far away. All right. All right, let's see what we get now. Create. I gotta get rid of this. It won't let me do that. I'll try, but I don't think it'll work. Let me see. Because it has a musician's name and it's going to tell me it doesn't work. Yeah. Or is it? No, it stopped. Yeah, it couldn't generate because there's names in there. That's so stupid. I'm not asking you to put their names in the song. Oh, gee, many crickets. So frustrating. Okay, there we go. Now it'll work because I took their names out. All right, here we go. Here we go. Let's see what we get out of this. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. Oh, baby, baby. Look forward to the day when we have South African government who truly cares and values all South Africans for when only we can elevate and hold this downwards road. Press the like button. Yeah, how you doing? How's it going? How's the family? What are you up to? We got more Safas in Pennsylvania now. We do. We got some refugees arrived in the Philadelphia area, and some more purportedly are going to be arriving here tomorrow. At least that's a rumor I have. I haven't confirmed that through a reliable source, just someone telling me that, so I don't call them a considerable reliable source yet. It would be awesome if the U.S. can give them Christmas present, two presents, a GOA extended excluding South Africa. I don't think that's going to happen because Trump's just not happy with the GOA, generally speaking. All right, so my song is called The Don Cleans Up the G20. You ready?
Yeah, I hope you saved a screenshot, cause the new boss just logged in. The sun came up on day number 1. The gavel dropped and the deed was done. You went to the side looking for a loan, but nobody's answering on the telephone. Click refresh, baby, stare at the screen. It's the cleanest slate that you've ever seen. Every speech, every plea, every plan for a grant, gone with the wind. He said no, you can't. You spent a whole year calling him a clown, talking big talk all over town. Well, the ballot box
It's not bad. Let's see how the other one is.
The dawn cleans up the G20. Pack up your bags, we're done with the plenty of handouts, bailouts, and please, sir, may I? We're looking the eagle right in the eye. No begging bulls, no apologies. We're cutting the cord on the fantasies. It's strict economics, baby, pure and true. The dawn is here to clean up the G2A for you. Yeah, the side is blank. Money in the bank. No more unicorns. The dawn cleans it up.
Version
I hope
2.
you saved a screenshot. Cause the new boss just
Oh, this is
logged in.
promising. This is promising.
The sun came up on day number 1. The gavel dropped and the deed was done. You went to the site looking for a loan, but nobody's answering on the telephone. Click refresh, baby, stare at the screen. It's the cleanest slate that you've ever seen. Every speech, every plea, every plan for a grant gone with the wind. You said no, you can't. You spent a whole year calling him a clown, talking big talk all over town. Well, the ballot box spoke and the script got flipped. Now the hand is out, but the cash is zipped. The dawn cleans up the G20. Pack up your bags, we're done with the plenty of handouts, bailouts, and please, sir, may I? We're looking the eagle right in the eye. No begging bulls, no apologies. We're cutting the cord on the fantasies. It's strict economics, baby, pure and true. The dawn is here to clean up the G for your you. Yeah, all for you.
I like this one better.
I see the politicians down in the South, sweating bullets.
Can you even
with a
dance to this one?
dry mouth. You painted him the villain, the monster, the beast. Now he's carving the turkey at the leader's feast. He's turning the screws, yeah, he's tightening the lid. Time to grow up, stop acting like a kid. We aren't chasing unicorns powered by the breeze. We're talking real deals and industries. You called him the boogeyman, you said he was bad. Now he's the toughest boss that you ever had. The apology tour has hit a dead end, and you won't find a dollar just by playing pretend. The dawn cleans up the G-train. Pack up your bags, we're done with the plenty of handouts, bailouts, and please, sir, may I? We're looking the eagle right in the eye. Hey, no begging bulls, no apologies. We're cutting the cord on the fantasies. It's strict economics, baby, pure and true. The dawn is here to clean up the G20 for you. Delete the guilt, delete the waste. We got a brand new future to taste. If you want a seat at the big boy table, you better show us that you were able to stand on your feet without a crutch. Cause the dawn doesn't like the soft touch. The dawn cleans up the G-20. Pack up your bags, we're done with the plenty
That is lit. That is lit. That is lit, folks. I'm loving that one. Sarah's the biggest liability NCSM. They are going to lose the number of cadres in next year's election. Yep. When they start losing municipalities, indeed. And they'll lose them to MK. They'll lose them to IFP. They'll lose some even to Action SA possibly. And who knows what a DA will do. I don't know. But the Freedom Front Plus is going to perform much better in places where there is a colored and white population. Guaranteed it. Bobbing my head wildly like a little review doggy, like a bobblehead. My kitty's lying here on their mattress staring at me funny. What the Yeah, no, that was awesome, man. That was too legit to quit. You like that, Ronell? That was good, man. Wow. Who's talking about the Magnitsky Act? Magnitsky Act can be applied any time. Could already been done. Trump was fighting an asymmetric war with Cyril, and the idiot believes he's fighting the same weapons attack. Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's funny. It's like a cup with 200% caffeine content at 5:30 in the morning. You like it. Thank you for your efforts. You really put a lot in your program for South Africans. I do, Martin, but it's not just for South Africans. It's for the entire world, but I'm glad it's South Africans. Hey, Pearl, Vitboy, where'd all my other Vitboys go to? I'm bummed out. They all disappeared on me. Glad to see you there, Pearl. Thought my favorite audience here was disappearing the color folks. So I was going to wake up and start steaming about this unless he's more concerned about surviving General X. Yeah, he might see another Polokwane massacre this coming week. Hey, it's not beyond the realm of possibility, folks. I don't think so because the ANC actually believes that he had a great summit. Oh yes, Maduro's going to get a gift. So you can already see it, man. So Nicolas Maduro, have yourself a merry little Christmas in Guantanamo Bay, and may all your dreams come true. Ladies and gentlemen, the flight for Gitmo is departing now. Nicolas Maduro, please report to Gate 6 in your handcuffs. Nicolas Maduro, please report to Gate 6. Your flight to Guantanamo Bay is now boarding. I'm glad you're your own Vit boy, but I lost the other Vit boys. Yeah, they disappeared on me. Very disappointed in that. They've disappeared for a few days. Yeah, wow. Can you please report? Paging Mr. Maduro. Attention in the terminal. We're looking for a Nicolas Maduro, a sleazy-looking cocaine dealer. Nicolas Maduro, wanted on 6 continents by 27 countries. Paging Nicolas Maduro. Please report to the information booth by Terminal 6. Cup of coffee, good songs, and an awesome vibe. Thank you very much, Apocalypse Ninja. The issue with dictators like Maduro is he will use the general population's human shields and make the U.S. come and get him. Well, that's easy. It's called SEAL Team 6. It's called Delta Force. You know, it's like the A-Team. Dun, 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 dun. The A-Team. Yes, we'll send B.A. Baracus in after him. I'll pity the fool. I'll pity the fool that doesn't surrender to me. I'll pity the fool. He'll be in Mozambique. What's he going to do there, man? What's he going to do in Mozambique? Eat prawns? Now we're getting TikTok adverts on YouTube. Wow, okay. Well, maybe I'm making a couple hundredths of a cent there from that. Yes. Trump is playing 4D chess and Cyril's just learned and understands the movements of the pawn. He's tackling complicated movements of the knight. Oh, that will put him for a loop. 1 and 2 over? No. How about 2 and 1 over? Can I do that? Can I go backwards or sideways? This is very complicated. I like the other ones. You just move forward. Oh my goodness. Pity the fool. Let me tell you about this. Cyril Ramaphosa, I pity the fool. You need to get rid of that Ronald the Mola boy. That boy he's out of control. So what you're saying is you think Donald Trump is a white supremacist? Yes, I do. I'll pity Ronald the Mola. I'll pity the fool. Yeah, maybe he's in Maputo. Lorenco Marx trying to beg to use the smelter, man. Oh my goodness. Folks, this is just, it's cray-cray. It's cray-cray. That's right. It's absolutely bat crap crazy, man. Bat crap crazy. What are you going to say? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? It's just, I don't know, tell you, man. Venezuela has a smelter. Mr. T is the best. Oh, he was great, man. Yeah, the movies. I never watched the movie. Who knows? He's the only B.A. Baracus. Yep. So apparently Trump threatened, or not threatened, but he told Maduro, dude, you need to get off the throne. You need to get off the throne. The doctors released President Trump's MRI. I didn't get my MRI yet results. It's pretty nice to be the king. Yep. Pete Hegseth with White House help is trying to distance himself from the boat strike fallout. Yep. Where does Welsh rugby go from here? Yeah, 73-0. Yep. Is the United States president preparing to strike Venezuela? They're all want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. We go down live to the Caribbean aboard the USS Gerald Ford. We speak to sailors. It's Damian Schultz. Damian, can you tell us, do you think the president will strike tonight? Oh, hell, I don't know. I just got in the Navy last year, and they said we were going on a cruise. This ain't no cruise. I'm working my ass off on this damn ship. The Navy calls their deployments cruises. It's not like oh gosh. It's not like in the Army, when we go to the field, we don't go, we go to cruise like the Navy. It's not like hey, where did they go? They went camping. They went camping. They went on a folks march. No, we got deployed, man. You see who sees a future for Welsh rugby? Yeah, I don't think so. I'm sorry to say this, but I don't think there's a future for Welsh rugby. Not anytime soon. Hey, but it could turn around. Oh my goodness, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that. Abject failure becoming the norm, says the British Broadcasting Corporation. Does Welsh rugby, where does it go from here? Well, back to the drawing board. Stupid tattoos on the back of your calves is probably a bad idea. I'm just saying, Aserati. Predicting when Welsh rugby has actually hit bottom has become quite difficult recently. Each time we think a new low has been reached in the past couple of years, yet another depth is plumbed. Saturday's 73-0 record home humiliation against world champion South Africa is Wales' latest low point. Seeing the Principality Stadium in March, listening to England performing their victory song after inflicting a 68-14 home defeat on their host, one Welsh rugby expert said, "It can't get worse than this, can it?" Well, it can. 8 months on from the England embarrassment was the Springbok squad belting out their celebration tune and an autumnal Saturday night in Cardiff. The 11-try demolition was the second worst defeat in Welsh history after the 96-13 hammering dished out by the Springboks in Pretoria back in 1998. So where do they go from here? Another annus horribilis. Yep, another horrible year. Debating whether England or South Africa loss was more degrading for Welsh rugby seems futile. The same applies when judging whether 2024-25 was a more humbling year. It's worth revisiting how low Welsh rugby has sunk since the World Cup quarterfinal defeat by Argentina in Marseille. Since that loss, Wales have been beaten in 20 of 22 matches in the 2 years that have followed. In 2024, Wales lost all 11 test matches, while this year they suffered 9 defeats in 11 games. The only 2 victories coming against Japan. And one of them they didn't deserve. All those cards handed out to the Japanese stole the game from them in that corrupt refereeing. Well, Pearl, the ANC may think they're safe in the arms of Iran and all those against the U.S., but they are mistaken. They are mistaken. I'm going to tell you something. If I'm a former dictator, I'd much rather be living in Switzerland than in Novosibirsk. Theory that Marco Masalti, controlling partner Sharks, is sitting on spitting fire about it. Yeah. Oh yeah, well I'm sure. I mean, we're going to see what happens. But he's going to get banned, I'm sure. Even if he did anything wrong, but it surely looked wrong. Seems Wales hit rock bottom, so they can only get better. My mantra: when things are not good, at least things can only get better. Well, they said that after they got beaten by England, 68-14. Now they're beat 73-0. And they've been beaten, losing, and not scoring any points several times. So this, of course, is the making of none other than the genius from down under. Yeah, the Kiwi, right? Remember him? Steve Hansen. Isn't he the guy responsible for this debacle with Welsh rugby? Yeah, They brought him back, and he didn't do anything to fix it. He only made it worse. No one's talking about Steve Hansen anymore, are they? What do I think Trump's next move will be against Ramaphosa? Well, I think that we might see some tariffs ratcheted up. Yep, we might see some tariffs ratcheted up. We've certainly seen an uptick in the pace of the refugee program. Maybe a lack of Oh, you think I'm on something? A lack of Starbucks? Nah. I'm good, man. Well, of course he knows better. He's 34 years old. He's got 140 plus caps. He does know better. Counting down the hours to get to Starbucks. No, actually I'm not. It's just 4 days away. That's what I'm drinking in 4 days. So 3 more days without. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, no Starbucks. Friday, it's Starbucks time. Some of you thought I couldn't do it, didn't you? Some of you thought I couldn't do it. We need a retired U.S. intelligence officer to let us know what is really happening. Well, that's true. Hey, Mike, how's it going, man? How you doing? They need some bucks in their team. Did you mean Warren Gatlin? Did I say I said Hansen. I'm sorry, Gatlin. Ooh, I smirched Steve Hansen. I'm sorry, Steve Hansen. I meant Warren Gatlin. Thank you, Dirk. Thank you for correcting me. It's late. I'm tired, and I'm suffering from Starbucks withdrawal. So I made a mistake. Yeah. Warren Gatlin, sorry. The same guy who ran his mouth during the British and Irish Lions series and started the bullshit by complaining about Marius van der Westhuizen being the TMO because of COVID. And so he bitched and moaned about that to get calls to go his way for the British and Irish Lions. And then when Rossi made a video showing all the bad calls, suddenly he's the bad guy. By the way, did Eddie Jones get a year ban? I'm not calling for one. I don't think he should get one. But Eddie Jones said things as bad or as worse than what Rossi said when Japan got 3 cards in that game against Wales 2 weeks ago. Has he gotten a ban? Nope. Not even an uproar about Eddie Jones saying something. Not a damn thing. Do you know why? Eddie Jones is part of the Old Boys Network. Yep. Oh, the Springboks cards, yeah. Yeah, thank you for correcting me there, Dirk Kutsia. It is early or late. You can take your pick. That's my excuse. Ronell, that's a puffin, isn't it? For your avatar. I love puffins. I love puffins. I've seen lots of puffins. Yep. In Scotland. Yep. And elsewhere. I love puffins. They're cute little birds. I wouldn't want to hang out with them, but they're cool. Yep. Yeah, I'm sure the Sharks are not happy. Yeah, in so many ways. That loss in Connacht was just embarrassing. So bad. So bad. There's nothing in the tank. Yep, they're just terrible. I keep forgetting about those cards you guys are collecting. Thanks. I really look forward to getting a full set of those. I really do. Anyway, so let me take a look at some other news out there. The South African media aren't out of bed yet, so good luck with that. Is President Trump preparing to strike Venezuela? Inquiring minds want to know. Yes, they do. We like the turkey and PA. Oh, we do. Venezuela slams Trump's warning that its airspace should be considered closed amid rising tensions. That looks like AI, but that's real. That's a real photo. Yep. That's back in May. United States President Donald Trump declared on Saturday that Venezuelan airspace had been closed without offering any further details, spiking tensions between Washington and Caracas. Venezuela has accused the U.S. of a colonialist threat in Latin America as millions of people in the country remain on edge. Nicolas Maduro had earlier warned that Washington was fabricating claims as a pretext to justify military intervention in Venezuela. Well, we will find out if that's the case. We will find out if that's the case. We'll see, folks. We will see. MPs are expected to vote on scrapping the 30% pass mark. They're going to raise it to 50% like Musi Maimani wants, or are we going to get serious and raise it to 70%? They're probably going to go to 15%. How esoteric. Ooh. Members of Parliament are set to cast their votes on a pivotal issue that could reshape the educational landscape of the country, the scrapping of the long-standing 30% pass. It's not long-standing. It's some crap that the ANC introduced. The Tuesday vote comes in light of growing concerns over educational standards and the efficacy of the current minimum requirements for high school. I'm sorry. It took you this long to be concerned that giving people a passing mark with 30% proficiency? So that means that out of 10 things, you got 3 right. 5, 7 wrong, 3 right. Out of 10. Give me a break. Penguins and puffins. Colonel, otters and beavers, all animals. Otters and I like otters. Pick and Pay are throwing everything into marketing with the Bucks. If their sponsorship doesn't pay off, they won't be around for much longer. Yeah, Pick and Pay's got a lot of problems. A lot of problems. Just reminded me to go, okay, time to start a MAGA rugby team. We had a course in university with 67% pass crimes before you could move to the next modules. 70%. 70%. There's nothing, you can't have a passing mark lower than 70%. That's ridiculous. If you can't get 70% of the material, you can't master 7% of the material, then you shouldn't be doing whatever you're doing. Simple as that. The Tuesday vote comes in light of growing concerns over educational standards. The heart of the debate is Musi Maimani, the leader of Build One South Africa, who has been vocal about the need to assess the 30%. But he just wants a 50% pass mark. I appreciate that, Musi, but I'm sorry. 50%? That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. We have a crisis in our education system. Duh. And the department acts like everything is fine. Of course, because they were led by Minister 30%, who's now the Minister of No Defense. The defenseless minister, Angie Mocheka. Everything is not fine. Not only do we have pass marks as low as 30%, we also have low average marks for math, physical science, and other core subjects. Look carefully at the data. Well, I don't need to look at the data. I already know the data, buddy. I locked onto this story years before you did, Musi Maimani. These people are so far behind the times. I mean, he's catching up an issue that has been there for 18 years. 18 years. 3 age cohorts. Well, if you go by 4 years, that's four age cohorts have gone through entire high schools, and they have this low standard. Who's only human? Yeah, well, it ain't happening here. We're up in the standard. You want to be on this program, you got to be smarter than a 5th grader. I'm just saying. You got to be smarter than a 5th grader. They're saying Hegseth ordered the lethal attack, but not the killing of survivors. Some admiral's going to be hung out to dry. You watch. You watch. Some admiral's going to be hung out to dry. Maybe they need to be hung out to dry. I don't know, but it's going to happen. It's going to happen. Just a matter of time. No doubt about it, folks. Going to happen. Going to happen. Let me go to Voice America. Is it still 15 March? Yep, 15 March. Voice America's website has not been updated since 15 March. Wow, can you believe that? Voice America is gone. Wow. That's just crazy. After service in CIA-trained unit, National Guard shooter struggled to adapt. Please, no sympathy for this clown. I have no empathy for this jerk-off. Lakhwanal squad was usually the first to venture out of the counterterrorism reconnaissance mission in Afghanistan's southern provinces, often at night to confirm the location of high-level Taliban commanders and other targets before the rest of the CIA-backed unit swooped in to capture or kill. He joined Unit 03, known as the Kandahar Strike Force, sometime around 2011, quickly gained a reputation as a stellar soldier, working with U.S. forces in one of the most dangerous parts of Afghanistan. According to a former U.S. intelligence officer who served in Afghanistan's knowledge of the CIA trained 0 units. But like many Afghans who'd worked for the United States and came to this country after the chaotic August 2021 U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan, he appeared to struggle to adapt to his new circumstances and refused to take many of the entry-level jobs available to him as a recent immigrant. These guys were elite soldiers who had a career and homes in Afghanistan, but when they came here, they lost everything. They were told, you need to work, but they don't have the skills. They're not ready to integrate themselves in the community. No, because their culture is anathema to our culture. It's incompatible, and they have no desire. Today's standards, I would have just gotten distinctions. Well, yeah. The 30% average pass rate is not the problem. The whole primary and secondary schooling is the problem. Add in Bella. Well, yeah, also in Africa, and I can't speak for South Africa, but I know in other countries, people are just taught rote memorization. Memorize this, take a test. That's not education. That's not learning. You need to teach children to think. You need to teach them how to evaluate, how to create critical thinkers. That's what we need to do. You need to teach them to ask the questions, why is something this way? How does it become this way? How does it change? What are the motivations behind it? What are the factors that make this thing occur? That's what you need to be teaching kids, but they don't do that. Yeah, did you see the cocaine prices are 40%? Yeah, I didn't know it was 40%, but I know they're up. Fentanyl is scarce. The fentanyl prices are skyrocketing too. And quite frankly, if Trump was wrong about, that being a trafficking market for a point of entry for fentanyl, then fentanyl prices wouldn't be skyrocketing in the U.S. right now. They are. If they were only coming through Mexico, which is what the claim was, and not coming through these narco trafficking boats sliding up through the Caribbean, then we wouldn't see fentanyl crisis flying high because there's no action taking place at the Mexican border. This is all happening in the Caribbean, and fentanyl prices are going through the roof. So, yep. What did Jackie Kane say? Today, distinctions. The issue these days, it seems like all military actions are basically live streams, so all idiots who don't know anything about. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right. You're right, Dirk Kutsia. And of course, it's Democrats. Anytime you fire a weapon or even have a weapon or walk around in your uniform, in your duty uniform in the streets of Washington, D.C., you have to apologize. Well, I don't apologize for being a soldier. I don't apologize for adhering to the Constitution. I don't apologize to demon rats in the media. And that's why the former Chairman Joint Chiefs of Staff was such a weasel, and I'm so glad that guy's gone. I don't understand this white fragility. Oh man, shut up. Guy brought DEI into the military. What a piece of work. Just watching it for Steve. Thank you, Bitcoin. Glad you enjoyed it. The Afghan guy was embedded with CIA and he was vetted to get in. He was an infiltrator from the jump. Probably from Jump Street. Colonel, shall not taught to think anymore. They're regurgitators. Exactly right. They're just regurgitators. And that's why they're so stupid. And that's why you get the videos we get, attacking Thea von Straten. By the way, let me see if Thea wrote back. I haven't heard from her. She's probably laying low after all this nonsense. No, nothing. Nothing. Well, that reminds me. I'm going to check on Harris next week. Emily Schrader, I haven't heard back from her. I'll send her another message. I haven't heard from her since the 22nd of November. That's a little bit worrying now. It's almost 2 weeks. So I've sent her another message. Hopefully she'll see this one. All I can do is hope. Yep. And that also reminds me to check from Laura Logan, whom I haven't heard back from either. Okay. No, she's read it, but she hasn't responded. I sent it to her on, what day was that? Saturday. Sunday, Monday. Anyway, maybe she's watching my content. Laura, if you're watching my content now, hey, I'm excited. I want to come on the channel. Now's the time. Stuff is happening. Bad things are happening in South Africa. Bad things. Jimmy. Joining the stage too much. We're happy for her. Althea, yeah. And news on the lady in the Cape who that gentleman offered to go fetch. That was in the Cape. That was in Joburg. Yeah, I haven't. That's Anna Kruger, but Anna her phone's gone quiet. She probably killed her baddie. Doesn't charge it. And she's finally got both messages now. But for all day, she didn't get it, and she hasn't responded. So it's late or early next day. No, she never got back and said anything. So, but I got from sources that she was picked up. Their car was in the garage, and they have more interviews. So I don't know. Maybe she's focused on that. But it would be a nice courtesy to let me know that you're okay. I mean, went to a lot of trouble to, that's. I mean, I don't know the circumstances, but I mean, come on. We went to a lot of trouble to get you taken care of here. You could at least let people know it's not that hard. When do you think NCA will start locking people up for speaking out? Very soon. Very soon. Yeah, no, they'll double down like criminals always do and start putting people in jail. Don't be staring at my privates. What's that? Who is that? Oh, I'm not sure which one you're talking. In the Cape, I don't know. Husky says, thank you for your interview with Steve. Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure. That was a fun interview, just like it was 2 years ago. The fentanyl prices going up and fast is that you might experience a bit more crime from the... That's true. Recent report from the National Assessment Governing Board says 40% decline. That's crazy. My brother learned parrot fashion. What was ducks? Grade 7. I have no idea what that says. Karen. Maybe get 90%. That makes sense, Philip. Yeah, no, it's crazy. Did you hear anything back about the family that got stuck next to the road? That's what I'm talking about, Ronell. That was Anna Kruger. That's what I'm talking about. What did Dirk say? Somebody's laughing. The Newts. When do you think you'll start locking people? Anytime. Honestly, I'm not being, a crazy person. That's, when governments see the handwriting on the wall and they're unwilling to give up power after being in charge for decades, they resort to anything. Yep. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Yep. Pete Hegseth did order the lethal shot, the attack, but apparently didn't order the second one. Mid-talk of war crimes, details and precise sequence of September 2nd boat in Caribbean are facing intensifying scrutiny. The Trump administration Monday defended the legality of a September 2nd attack on a boat in the Caribbean Sea as calls grew in Congress to examine whether a follow-up missile strike that killed survivors amounted to a crime. The lethal attack was the first in President Trump's legally disputed campaign of killing people suspected of smuggling drugs at sea as if they were combatants in a war. It has started coming under intense bipartisan scrutiny in recent days amid questions about the decision to kill the initial survivors and what orders were issued by Secretary Hegseth. At the White House on Monday, Carolyn Leavitt, the press secretary, read a statement that said Mr. Hegseth had authorized the Special Operations Commander overseeing the attack to conduct these kinetic strikes. Well, we know that. According to 5 News officials, spoke separately and on the condition of anonymity, of course, to discuss the sensitive matter that's under investigation. Aware of the attack, he ordered a strike that would kill the people on the boat and destroy the vessel and its purported cargo of drugs. But each official said Mr. Hegseth's directive did not specifically address what should happen if the first missile turned out to not fully accomplish all these things. And the official said his order was not a response to surveillance footage showing that at least 2 people on the boat survived. Bradley ordered the initial missile strike and then several follow-up strikes that killed the initial survivors and sank the disabled boat. As the operation unfolded, Hegseth did not give him any further orders. So what's the problem? Hegseth didn't violate anything, so why are we even debating this? Why are we debating? Hegseth didn't give the orders. You said so yourself. Yep. Are you doing a stream with Mike Sham today? Well, if it's Tuesday, yes. It's still Monday here, but yes, I'm doing a stream with Mike Sham. He asked me to move an hour earlier. Is it listed on his channel? I don't know. Does he do them live? I have no idea. I've never been on his channel. Let me look and see. Mike Sham. Raw, unfiltered commentary. Is State of the Nation, is that the one? Does he have any lives? Yeah, he does. I don't. Is it which channel? The big deal about the second strike is that in combat, once an enemy combatant is defenseless, you can't just kill them. That's murder. I mean, so for instance, when American paratroopers surrendered at the Battle of the Bulge, or troops surrendered, and the Germans gunned them down, that was a war crime. Yeah, you can't do that because they're no longer resisting. War is a legal operation. It is a legitimate means of political discourse between 2 states. War. That's why I charge people for wars of aggression is comical because it's legal. It's recognized. But there are rules to war. You can't simply kill people who are defenseless. You can't. So, for instance. You cannot shoot a paratrooper who's stuck in a tree because he's defenseless. But you can shoot them when they come down because they could shoot at you. Oh, I answered right now. Okay. Okay, that's what pre-recorded. Okay, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, there may be nasty fallout from the strike, but there's probably not much to it. Political Insider's other channel. Okay, I'm looking for that one. Mike Sham, Political Insider. I am subscribed to this channel. Okay, let me see. That's a lot smaller channel. No, he's just covering the other stuff. No, it's not going to be that channel. Wasn't going to watch the Steve A, but not really a fan, but I'm glad I did. Well, there you go. See, Alan? That's all you got to do, man. So I'm ranked among the 2,186 largest channel on all of YouTube with subscribers. Let's see how Mike is. On the entire planet, 2,000. That's not bad, huh? It's not bad. Mike's channel is a little bit smaller than mine. He's 2,000. How many seconds? 2,186. He's real close to me. 2,211. So he's right behind me. Yep. Yep. My views are almost three times as much. Yep. Anyway. We're picking back up now. We slowed down for a little bit there. We're picking back up. Anyway, Trump and the G20. I love that. I love that. Oh, man. He just wiped their webpage out. This may be a stupid question. We know the government are watching your channel. Can people get in trouble for commenting against them? No, a lot of people use pseudonyms here. You're fine. You can speak what you want. We don't know the government itself is watching. I just know ANC politicians. That doesn't mean they're in the government. Why are you spending hundreds of thousands on a single boat? Because the impact of one boat can be on hundreds of thousands of lives, and hundreds of thousands of dollars to keep hundreds of thousands of people off drugs. It's a good exchange. Karen, I'm glad you don't have time for other channels. You have time for mine. Left mainstream media is shaping the narrative of Venezuela again. False change. Yeah. No, that's the problem. People are listening to it. So I was actually interviewed today by a Afrikaans publication, and they wanted to do a follow-up on the Thea story. And so they said, well, there have been these allegations against Thea. I said, well, okay, but have you considered the source? It's not a reliable source. And the person said, yes. And I listened to her husband. I said, well, I don't know if that's her husband. It may very well be her husband. It may very well be her partner, but I can't attest to that. But what I can attest to it, whoever that was misleading people. She said, what do you mean? I said, well, we know for a fact we have multiple witnesses and government agents who were present. It said that her partner or her husband, whoever he is, stalked her and followed her to the airport from the Free State to OR Tambo at Campton Park. And she went to the hotel, and then he went into the hotel and created a scene looking for her. She'd already left and was going to Pretoria to meet with me for the interview. So she didn't even know what happened. But I have several witnesses, several of the 59ers, and U.S. government officials were there. And they had to remove this guy who was causing chaos and a threat to the 59ers. So for him to have claimed that he didn't know that she was in America till he saw it on the news is pure poppycock. Pure poppycock. Oh, Ronaldo? Yeah, let me see. I signed up to a service that lets me see the stats and all the other stuff for these channels. Well, why is that not coming up? Why is Ronaldo not coming? Oh, he changed his channel name. Real Dog, Ronaldo. Okay, well that's not so clever. He's got this is the last 28 days, 1.12 million, and I have in that time frame. Where did mine go? You just gotta go back to again. Come on, it's taking a long time to find channels. I have 2.3 million that time, so better than twice as many. And let's see, morning shot. That doesn't mean anything, though. It just means I caught the wave for now. That's all it means. Both of them got much larger channels than me as subscribers. Morning shot of 1.46 million. So, yeah, mine's 2.3 in the last 30 days. Well, that's down from 4 million back in May. But it's better than 1.1 million I was in October, so. William, who's Willem Peter? Who's Willem Peter? Willem Petza? Is that what you mean? A personal interest I form and do care these days. It's only about chasing the next clickbait. Well, I think you're right. Yeah, no, present company excluded. I mean, I do things that are going to get me low views because they're things that are interesting to people. Yep. Hate the ads interrupt the Colonel talking, then I miss what is being said. Yeah, no, I understand legal alien. Willem Petzer. Willem Petzer's been on the channel, but that's been 5 years ago. When the refugee story broke, Willem asked me to come on his channel, and I agreed, and they never got back with me, and I didn't pursue it. I haven't asked him to come on my channel. Willem's interesting, but he's a bit difficult person to interview because he likes to, well, maybe he's easier now. I don't know. I haven't interviewed him in a while, so. But, yeah, no, I mean, do people want Willem Petzer on the channel? Yep. 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 Do they want Willem Petzer on? Let me know. Let me check Citizen Guardian. I haven't seen anything from her in a long time. She's still around, I imagine. Why can I type for beans tonight? It's Citizen Guardian, isn't it? Why it's not? Too many G's in there. What isn't Citizen Guardian, that her name? I'm drawing a blank here. Know what, Bonnie? Leonardo Joni is live right now. Oh, she's hilarious. My search will show me lots of chicas. Citizen concern. Oh, that's citizen concern. There's that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, okay. Well, no doesn't tell me anything. Citizen concern. Yeah, it's even better. There we go. Citizen concern. There we go. She's got 150,000. She's got many subscribers now as Morning Shot, but her views are 944,000. So, yep. She has a number of outliers and then some that go the other way. But she's been stuck. I wonder why. So the last month she doesn't really gain any subscribers. But none of us are gaining a lot, that's for sure. So Leonardo Joni is live.
I don't know. Jews. If Carl Sagan would have pointed it out and said, yeah, there was just a problem with Star Wars. All the humans were Jews. Like
Leonardo Joni. She is not politically correct, man. She is not Leonardo Joni. She was on with the Hodge twins. Gosh. She's hilarious. She's got 1,300 people watching right now, 300,000 subscribers. I'm kind of envious of that. So you're telling me some Ukrainian can take out a T-80 for pennies on the dollar with a drone, and we have to use a missile on a boat? It's not pennies on the dollar, and what are they using to take it out with? And we use drones to do this too. You think you heard of Reaper? I mean, how do you know it's not a Reaper that's using the missile? End of Year Madness. I should write to her and ask her to come on my program. That'd be funny. Yeah, I'm not going to confirm or deny that she was approached by the Truth Report. Yeah, I'm with you, Alan. I got you, Monty. No, I've not been in a rush to do that interview, so. Podcasts and civil society groups are staying away from the refugee discussion as much as possible. If it wasn't for the Colonel, then no one would be communicating the facts in the public forum. These days, that's pretty much true. Yeah, none of them do it.
You should believe in God. So, if somebody's interested in why you're an atheist, let them ask you.
So she's chatting with her audience. Yeah, picture of Carl Sagan on there. Shortly after the release of Star Wars, renowned astrophysicist Carl Sagan remarked that it was very white, prompting 1976 or 77, and Carl Sagan is telling racist comments. I had a lot of respect for Carl Sagan, but it kind of went out the window hearing that. Yep. Oh, yeah, the Nutcracker's been there forever. Oh, you mean the ones behind me? This one here? Yeah, this one here. Yeah, okay. That one down there is also a Nutcracker, the little bear down there. That's been there all year. I never took it down. Yep. Yeah, I'll put more up as time goes by, but yeah. I will be publishing the Steve Hofmeyer song. Steve loved it. He loved it. For those who didn't hear about it, I put that song about Steve. It's called, what did I call it? Hang on. Where does that come on? Die Stem wat blijft staan. Die Stem wat blijft staan. Little taste of it. Hang on a second. I want to see if she answers this question.
We've tried to set it up. It just didn't work out. Like, I went to Florida to do comedy, and then I didn't have time. But I would be happy to do that. He's cool, and he's done a pretty good job calling out the anti-white bullshit. I know he's...
Well, I'd happy to do. So, look, I'll write to her if she wants to do stuff.
Die stofpad is lang, maar ons kom van ver. Om te staan in die lug, fyne suiderster. Die saal is gepak.
Does it sound like Tins, Jordan?
Die atmosfeer laai. Ons wag vir die oomblik, laat die musiek nou waai. Mense van heinde oor die vlaktes en berg, vir 'n man wat sy siel in elke noot verberg. Om te hoor sing, om hier te sien, dis die tipe respek wat 'n legende verdien. Van die sippies storie groot verhoog, het jy ons laat huil en laat glo. Agter elke man tot die diepste treurkront, dis jou voetspore vas op hierdie grond. Stuur jy sy stem, die man van die dag, 'n rots in die storm, 'n vriend en 'n maat vir die taal, vir die volk, staan die onbevrees, waar ander bly stil bly, sal jy die een wees. Steven, jou woorde vind ons krag, 'n legende wat skyn in die donkerste nag. Steve Hofmeyer, hulle gooi dalk die klippe, die woorde is vuil, omdat jy die waarheid onbeskaamd vertel. 'n letterkundige gees met 'n pen in die hand, jy skryf vir die siel van ons dierbare land.
Yes, I'm live. What do you think this is? Yeah, Tins had a deeper voice. It was a big loss. We talked about that today.
Jy gee alles vir ons, uur na uur. Ja, van Sippies se storie groot verhoog, het jy ons laat lag, laat huil en laat glo. agter elke man tot die diepste teergrond. Is jou voetspore vas op hierdie grond. Stuur jy die stem, die man van die dag, 'n rots in die storm, 'n vriend en
No, I don't sleep.
vir die taal, vir die volk.
Work my ass off every day, volunteering, giving people my time.
Sal jy die een wees? Oeh, Steven, jou woorde vind ons krag, 'n legende wat skyn in die donkerste nag. Laat die wêreld maar raas, laat die kritiese praat. Hoe ken jy die hart van 'n man van sy staat? Hy's meer as akteur, hy's meer as gesang. Hy's die stem van 'n volk wat na vryheid verlang.
It's my third broadcast of the day. Did 5 yesterday.
Steve, jy's die stem, die man van die dag, 'n rots in die storm, 'n vriend en 'n maat vir die taal, vir die volk staan jy onbevrees. Waar ander bly stil bly, sal jy die een wees. Oeh, Steve, en jy woorde
Silent cases are frozen. How are you going the silent route? There are no silent cases.
in die donkerste nag. Steve Hofmeyer, die legende, in woord en daad vir ons.
Yeah, Steve, jy's an Eister. As Kurt Darren would say, jy's a legend. Yeah. Okay, well, good luck with that. That's I don't mean to, I don't want to depress you, but the success rate's very low. Yeah, thank you, Tyrone. I thought it was pretty cool too. I put a lot of effort into making that thing last night while we were live, and I mean, I had the ideas and I just put it all down, and it worked out very well. I made a couple mistakes, and I had a really good version that kind of went to waste because I was in a rush, and I didn't realize that at the bottom when it was asking me, because I just rushed, it was asking me, do I want to take these lyrics and put them into an actual song, or do I want to leave them as they are? And I just paste that in there, and then afterwards I'm listening to it. Wait a second, for God's sake, just ask me, do I want to use these lyrics as they are, or put them in another song? I'm like, crap, I can't be part of the song. Yeah, I wasn't smart enough to cut that out. Yeah, I'm going to ask Leonardo Johnny, what the deal. Let me see if I can't find her channel information, more information. Okay. Your email address. Okay. Oh, it's stairs. Come on. Stupid frickin'. Gee, there's stairs in almost every one of these damn things. Crosswalks. I hate these things. And I keep marking it, and they keep disappearing. It keeps coming to the same place. Okay, finally. That's a lot of work. Got it. Okay, I'll write her an email tonight. She's all right, man. She's all right. Hey, El Marie Mayor, what's going on? Steve is an awesome person, loves his country like you love your country. Yeah, Kathy, I think so. Son wasn't prepared to go that route. Yeah, no, it's not an easy route. Plus, you need a lot of money to do that for attorneys. Legal alien. I'm a legal alien. You and the husband watch the show together. That's awesome. You're in Georgia. Well, congratulations. Georgia's an interesting place. This?
Like, why wouldn't she want to preserve that? Like, nobody else looks like this. Why would you want to mix this up and then make something that's not that unique and stunning? I mean, there's been thousands of years of evolution of your ancestors picking the darkest looking motherfucker and having kids with them. And then she's, I think she's like having a kid with a white guy, which is like, now neither.
Well, she definitely does. That's a topic she definitely goes off on, race mixing. Oof, she does that. She does that. Yeah, Estelle Marie. Steve loved it and he was humble. That's why I'm going to take it. He sent me a bunch of images. so I can put them in for the song. So I'm going to work on that. The biggest pros offer counterculture history. Don't have to like his past or music, but a genuine South African patriot. Yep, Dirk, he is. Yep. I mean, his music is, I mean, his performances are great. I mean, I don't know about his albums. I was never a big fan, but like I said, I knew him from acting, from Stephen Delan. So, Daily Friend is, why is Trump so obsessed with Venezuela? It's trouble. The Daily Friend came up with that? Wow, that's disappointing. Let's see what it says. Daily Friend. I haven't written for them for a while. Okay, why? It's by Stephen Boyke Sidley. So what's going on? Almost theatrical obsession. Sounds rough, tough, and purposeful. In practice, analysts keep pointing out the awkward bits. Venezuela is mostly a transit hub for cocaine, not a manufacturing power. So what? You stop it at its source. Oh, the author is trying to make the claim that this is about China and we're fear about China. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, he's an academic. That explains it. That explains it. Okay. Yeah, and I know you meant fiend, but no, the Daily Friend has got some good stuff on there. I'm an author on there. Did you know that? Did you know that? Yeah, I'm on the Daily Friend. Yep. Daily Friend. Ramaphosa and SA media in denial over Oval Office White House visit. Trump's consequential first day. Autocrats, not Democrats. American crisis. Friend or foe? Whose side is South Africa? I wrote this in May of last year. Before Trump ever became president, I wrote this. This is what I wrote last year before Trump became president. Whose side is South Africa on? Today's South African national provincial election is helping focus attention on its relationship with Washington, D.C. Bilateral support to reconsider the United States diplomatic relationship with South Africa has suddenly surfaced during an election year in both countries. What happens to the relationship after the South African election, or for that matter, after the U.S. general election on November 5th? Will Congress seek to sanction South Africa for its perceived anti-Western, anti-U.S., anti-democratic leanings? Or will the status quo continue, regardless of who occupies the White House or which political party controls Congress? Throughout much of the Cold War, South Africa managed to maintain ties with Western powers primarily as a perceived anti-communist ally and a strategic partner owing to its mineral resources and geographic location. But those relations became strained as popular support rose to combat the apartheid system of separate development that resulted in racial discrimination. There were also tensions due to South Africa's military engagement against a loose coalition of Southern African countries committed to ending apartheid and white minority rule in South Africa and Rhodesia, collectively known as the Frontline States. The ANC came to power 3 decades ago amid a wave of global support, especially from Western democracies who hailed the end of apartheid. Under the leadership of Nelson Mandela, with some initial success in redressing historical disparities and making economic progress, South Africa appeared to all who cared as a golden child on the global stage, supported almost unequivocally by Western democracies. However, warning signs began to emerge in 2008, 14 years into ANC rule, when President Thabo Mbeki, a technocrat, was deposed in what effectively amounted to a palace coup in Polokwane, and was replaced by Jacob Zuma as president of the ANC and, by extension, South Africa. What followed Zuma's accession was pervasive corruption, economic decline, wholesale pilfering of state resources, widespread patronage, an explosion of violent crime, and increased black economic empowerment requirements. As South Africa's listless economy was surpassed by Nigeria in the past decade, South Africa struggled to find relevance on the global stage. After joining the pseudo-alliance of developing states now known as BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, the country gained virtually no advantage, and in large measure turned inward as South Africans dealt with one corruption scandal after another. When COVID appeared in Africa in early 2020, South Africa, like nearly every other country, was caught completely unprepared, or at least acted as if it had no idea how to handle the pandemic. The ANC government imposed the most draconian and incomprehensible lockdown on the planet, banning the sale of open-toed shoes, cooked chicken, cigarettes, alcohol, and walking in public. Rather than harnessing the strength of its human capital and its domestic pharmaceutical industry, which includes companies such as Aspen Pharma, President Cyril Ramaphosa joined the COVAX coalition, relying on external actors. Then Ramaphosa on the world stage spent months attacking the United States over what he called vaccine apartheid, while ignoring the role his own country could have played in developing or testing vaccines in South Africa's robust pharmaceutical industry. While South Africa's COVID conduct is not the proximate cause of current congressional dissatisfaction with Pretoria, it should have served as a clarion call regarding the ANC's approach to its Western benefactors. Ramaphosa and his party are fond of biting the hand that feeds them, railing against the West, particularly the U.S., and now even Israel. Ramaphosa's allegations about COVID vaccines should have sent warning bells ringing at our embassy in Pretoria, at the State Department, and in the White House. Unfortunately, the comments passed largely unnoticed by a distracted Biden administration. While the White House and State Department have long remained silent on perceived ANC transgressions, South Africa's actions since February 2022, when Russia invaded Ukraine, finally got the attention of Congress. And what are those actions? South Africa is a sovereign state entitled to its own foreign policy and choice of friends, partners, and allies. No? Yes, Pretoria is entitled to its own path, but it should expect consequences when its actions run counter to its benefactors' national interest. In 2022, when 141 members of the UN General Assembly voted to condemn Putin's invasion of Ukraine, South Africa, like several African states, abstained. ANC officials traveled to Russia, ignored Ukraine's plight for 18 months, and then conducted a combined naval exercise with Russian and Chinese forces. When a U.S.-sanctioned Russian defense contractor's cargo ship surreptitiously slipped into South Africa's main naval base in Simonstown and, under the cover of darkness, unloaded containers and then loaded others on board, the ANC initially dismissed public concerns or questions. However, when U.S. Ambassador Ruben Briggity publicly rebuked Pretoria, claiming that South Africa had transferred arms to Russia, the ANC could no longer ignore the public relations fiasco. A long and convoluted independent investigation followed. Few in South Africa or in Washington believed the report's conclusions that nothing untoward had occurred. The aforementioned tensions failed to get the attention of American politicians. It was only after the nearly bankrupt ANC returned from Tehran and condemned Israel for Jerusalem's response to the brutal Hamas invasion of 7 October 2023 that officials in Washington finally began to notice that South Africa, under the ANC, all too frequently acts counter to U.S. national security interests. The ANC is also all too often convivial with totalitarians and state supporters of terrorism. South Africa's claim to the moral high ground over Gaza is questionable at best. When Gambia took an historic step of challenging Myanmar in the International Court of Justice for genocide against its Rohingya Muslim minority, South Africa was silent and did not join the case. However, in the aftermath of Hamas invasion, not only did South Africa's Foreign Minister Naledi Pandor make a telephone call to Hamas, but her ministry also permitted Hamas officials entry to South Africa in December of 2023, 8 weeks after the Hamas invasion of Israel. The negative view of South Africa was also not helped by a purported Hamas claim that Naledi Pandor congratulated Hamas on its brutal assault. Although the ANC-led government quickly brought genocide allegations against Israel and is concerned about hunger in Gaza, it remains largely silent on the crises closer to home in Africa, like those in Sudan, Niger, Mali, and elsewhere. It fails to condemn genocidal efforts and war crimes in places like Tigray in Ethiopia or hunger in Sudan. Naledi Pandor and her bosses mistakenly believe that South Africa is of strategic importance to the U.S. and can therefore count on generous and largely cordial relations. Regardless of Pretoria's actions, unfortunately, their attitude may be poorly informed. Given the ANC's clear penchant for poking its benefactors in the eye while supporting tyrants and expressing selective outrage, what is at stake? There is little at risk for Washington. South Africa no longer consistently has the largest economy in Africa. In the fourth industrial revolution, Pretoria's minerals are not nearly as critical as the ANC believes they are. While the U.S. is South Africa's second largest trading partner behind China, with approximately $20 billion in annual two-way trade, South Africa needs to trade far more than the U.S. does. Trade is not even remotely even. It is heavily skewed in favor of Pretoria. The African Growth and Opportunity Act allows South Africans to send their products and services into the U.S. market entirely duty-free. The U.S. enjoys no such reciprocity. In fact, Pretoria has often been hostile towards U.S. exports to South Africa, imposing 62% tariffs on U.S. poultry, for example. Loss of AGOA access would harm South Africa, not America. From 2009 to 2022, Pretoria consistently received over $300 million annually from Washington, $218 million in 2023. This assistance has been essential for HIV/AIDS programs. South Africa's over 7.6 million HIV-positive citizens. Now it's 8.5 million, the highest number in the world. American assistance also covers a host of other important programs. The ANC is playing with fire. They may be fortunate if the bipartisan effort underway in Congress to cut assistance is simply electioneering for a domestic audience. If so, there will be little to no change in ties between the two friends. Also, the outcomes of elections on both sides of the Atlantic may figure heavily in the equation. Should the deeply unpopular ANC fail to secure a majority today, it will be forced into an undesirable coalition, potentially with the rabid economic freedom fighters who consistently attack the ANC politically, or the upstart new MK party under former President convicted felon Jacob Zuma. If the party implodes, a possible but far from certain outcome, opposition parties will need to form a majority or minority coalition. Should that happen, Congress is unlikely to punish Pretoria. Whatever the election results, the current ANC leadership has either failed to grasp the dangerous waters it is sailing in by slapping the U.S. in the face with its foreign policy actions, or is whistling past the cemetery. Apparently, the ANC simply does not care about repercussions, feels it can weather the storm, or is clueless about the jeopardy South Africa now finds itself in vis-a-vis its diplomatic relationship with Washington. I wrote that a year and a half ago, before any of this bullshit. May 29th, 2024, the day of the election. Isn't that the election last year? It was published on the day of the election. I wrote it before I left here, and I flew, and they published it on the day of the election. Now, tell me how that analysis wasn't prescient. What did I get wrong? The only thing I didn't mention is that they go in alliance with the DA, but I was trying to make a point about the bad options. It's right there. Published May 29th, 2024, a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago, and I was spot on about this crisis already developing, about how it was going to unfold, and yeah, there you go. Dirk, I already identified that. That was last week when they started using the term tantrum. They started saying tantrum last week. Venezuela, Zimbabwe 2.0. Maduro saw power slipping. He turned to expropriation, and now the economy has collapsed. And his predecessor turned to expropriation, turned to drugs and crime. Yep. Yeah, illegal aliens. It's precisely what is going on. Now, I'm an independent analyst, an intelligence analyst, an independent journalist. I analyzed that and wrote that last year in advance of South Africa's election, on the eve of the election. Friend or foe? Knowledge leads to foresight, and you have it. Well done, Colonel. Thank you. Yep. And how much is Iran, Russia, and China in the ear and bank accounts, ANC? Well, that's a good question. One I don't have an answer to. Ramaphosa in South African media in denial over the Oval Office. Is it okay? I'm going to read this one to you now. This one is from June 24th. Okay, it's about a month after the debacle in the Oval Office. So, thankfully, your knowledge regarding South Africa, their government, and African business endeavors as a whole. Thank you, the Republicans. You're welcome. No to Willem Petzer, says Daffodil. You should update that article and include latest happenings. And I would dare any news outlet to have the guts to publish it. They won't. I submitted that last year to News 24. They just ignored me. They had no interest in publishing it. All right, it's difficult to focus on all the truly embarrassing moments for President Cyril Ramaphosa and his confused, unable to read the room team that went to the Oval Office to meet with President Trump in May of 2025. Contrary to the opinion of Jacob Zuma, Julius Malema, and a host of other malcontents and legacy South African media, their trip was indeed necessary. South Africa has repeatedly insulted and acted against the interests of the United States, its friends, partners, and allies for well over 2 decades. On the rare occasions when a South African politician or journalist is willing to admit as much, the typical subordinate clause of the response is, but South Africa is a sovereign state. While that is true, the United States is also a sovereign state, one that predates South Africa by at least 124 years. Contrary to the unsubstantiated myths spread like sea salt on every meal, Trump does not get his marching orders from Elon Musk, and did not issue his executive order because Musk influences him. Daily, nearly 20 federal intelligence agencies produce prescient intelligence products for the President of the United States. He does not rely exclusively upon open sources or Elon Musk to reach conclusions or stay informed. Trump issued his executive order not in response to an ongoing white genocide, but rather to get out in front of and avoid one, and in response to unjust racial discrimination against South Africa's racial minorities. The issues that have angered Washington long predate Trump, going all the way back to the Rome Statute. Let me send this to Steve Hofmeyer because I told him about this. So, the issues go all the way back to the Rome Statute and refusal of Pretoria to sign the Article 98 waiver in 2002 to protect U.S. troops. The concerns and issues are long-standing and not trivial. The U.S. has given South Africa nearly $500 million a year for decades, relieving the death and misery toll of HIV, and granted Pretoria duty-free access to the U.S. market for 25 years with no reciprocity. given South Africa's Aspen Pharma hundreds of millions of dollars to produce vaccines and sponsor World Bank, IMF, and African Development Bank grants and loans. South Africa has been a very ungrateful and disrespectful recipient of American largesse. The ANC has acted arrogantly and dismissively towards its largest donor and most important trading partner. Trump has already ended 10 billion rand in annual aid to South Africa. This has crippled HIV surveillance programs, left many with no antiretrovirals, and in large measure has stopped all serious medical and scientific research at South Africa's captured universities. The ANC's arrogance and cheek led a group of bipartisan U.S. lawmakers to introduce a bill in the House of Representatives in February of 2024 during the Biden administration to reevaluate the strategic relationship with the goal of sanctioning ANC officials. From the outset, President Trump issued his executive order on February 7th. South African politicians and media falsely claimed he was misinformed about what was occurring in South Africa. When that lie failed to resonate properly, they repeatedly repeated the sovereignty line. Then came the flat-out denials and eventually the attacks on Trump for spreading misinformation about a white genocide. Naturally, none of that is true. The effort to obscure reality did not fool objective thinkers, but it certainly muddied the waters very successfully. After announcing reciprocal tariffs on most countries around the world, including a 31% tariff for South Africa, President Trump then paused the high tariff rate for 90 days to give countries a chance to negotiate bilateral trade deals with Washington. Rather than act as Japan and South Korea did, sending high-level trade representatives to meet with American officials only hours after the tariff announcement, South Africa never sent anyone. After Pretoria's embarrassing former ambassador, Ibrahim Rasool, was sent packing, South Africa did not send a new one. Ramaphosa did announce Mcebisi Jonas as special envoy, but as of this writing, the 16th of June, 2025, he has yet to depart Cape Town for Washington. With less than 3 weeks remaining to negotiate lower tariffs on South African exports, Ramaphosa has still not sent anyone to negotiate with Trump's administration. Hence the need for Cyril's trip to meet with Trump. But Ramaphosa and his crew cannot read the room. They thought they would go to the States and set Trump straight, choosing the paths of denial, obfuscation, and even lecturing the President of the United States in the Oval Office. What a sad spectacle, and further evidence that South Africa has dismal, poorly informed leaders. While an objective observer will admit that what we all witnessed in the Oval Office was a disaster for South Africa, and that Trump was more than gracious and wound up very annoyed at Ramaphosa's tardy arrival and his subsequent comments, a few moments truly stand out. The first was when a South African reporter asked President Trump if he still believed there was a white genocide in South Africa. Trump's answer surprised many in his careful diplomatic response to not embarrass his guest. Trump said, "I'm not convinced of that." Yet virtually every media outlet falsely claimed that he said there was a white genocide. Trump never said that in the Oval Office meeting, not once. The next unforgettable moment was when Annika Larsen asked Trump, "Well, what will it take for President Ramaphosa to convince you that there's no white genocide in South Africa?" Ramaphosa rudely interrupted President Trump, saying he would answer the question directed to Trump. Then South Africa's president lectured his host about listening to South African voices. It will take the president listening to these voices of South Africans. Ramaphosa then introduced his white agricultural minister, not his minister, but his white minister. Imagine for a moment if Trump did the same thing, introducing a member of his cabinet. "Here's my black secretary." It is truly shocking that no media even bothered to mention this unacceptable race peddling. COSATU President Zingwiza Losi inadvertently and embarrassingly admitted that South Africa was a violent country, something the ANC has repeatedly denied or played down for years. But the most telling moment of the South African debacle was when President Trump had the lights turned down. While viewing the September 2020 Normandy cross protest after the Raffertys were murdered on a farm attack, Ramaphosa stated, "Have they told you where this is? I've never seen it." To which Trump replied, "It's in South Africa." It is beyond implausible that Ramaphosa was not aware of this video. It was played widely on social media, on South African television, and reported in the media in 2020 when Ramaphosa was present. Rather than be embarrassed by Ramaphosa's ludicrous statement, South African media glommed onto the fact that Trump incorrectly called the crosses grave mounds, completely ignoring that they represented hundreds of white South Africans brutally tortured and murdered on farms. Just dismissing that point. Most media erroneously called the event an ambush, conveniently forgetting that South Africa requested the meeting, and the topic of racial oppression was not a state secret. Trump made it clear in his executive order in February entitled Addressing Egregious Actions of the Republic of South Africa. So there was no surprise here. There was no ambush. How any South African could enter that room and not expect to be confronted about unjust racial discrimination is beyond silly to claim. Far from seeking to embarrass his guests, Trump's decision not to include any of the numerous video clips of Ramaphosa over the past 6 years personally insulting Trump on camera and excluding recent video footage of ANC members trashing the United States was quite magnanimous. But almost nobody says that other than me. President Trump only publicly aired video clips of former ANC members like Julius Malema and Jacob Zuma calling for the murder of white South Africans, not Ramaphosa's misdeeds. If Trump wanted to ambush Ramaphosa, it would have been a far more embarrassing video montage of Ramaphosa insulting, belittling, and mocking President Trump and lying about America. There's plenty of footage of that. Since his return to South Africa, President Ramaphosa's cavalier attitude to the suffering of South Africans, his continued denial of the country's laws oppressing racial minorities, and his unsubstantiated claims that he reset the relationship with Washington have only made matters worse. Unless Pretoria pulls a rabbit out of a hat at the G20 or the June 2025 G7 summit in Canada, South Africa will soon face a 31% tariff and will see jobs evaporate across the country as exports to America become prohibitively expensive and uncompetitive. Now, Trump was only there momentarily because he had to do the bombing campaign in Iran to take out the nuclear capacity in June. So, that's nothing happened there. This is what I wrote. So there you go. That's what I write. That's me writing stuff, and that's my content. Yeah, just hearing the scan has your blood boiling. How insulting. Interrupt your host. But yeah, people forget this shit. I don't forget it. I don't forget the Article 98 waiver. I don't forget the $8.1 billion is HFA. I don't forget Thabo Mbeki and his little tiny ego. Well, you're calling us racist. You're racist. You're saying black men are sexually irresponsible. No, dipshit. Listen to what we're saying. We're telling you that because of the social patterns here of small houses and multiple concurrent partnerships and long distance trucking routes and men living in hostels away from their families back in the former Bantustans, that these are conditions that accelerate the transformation and the transmission of the HIV virus. That's what we're telling you. Listen to what we're saying. Nobody gives a shit about how sexually active black men are or are not. That's not the point. The point here is that those are the conditions that we told you 28 years ago that this was going to happen. And you arrogant asshats ignored us. Called us racist for telling you that this was going to be a problem in Southern Africa. And now you have the world's worst HIV epidemic. You've had it for over 25 years because you wouldn't listen, because you're arrogance, because you have a thin little ego. Oh, they're attacking black men. No, we're not. We're trying to save black men, you dumbass. My goodness. Trying to save black men. Trying to save lives. Trying to stop mother-to-child transmission of HIV during childbirth. And Thabo Mbeki prevented us from giving Nevirapine free to expectant mothers. Instead, he had this lunatic wackadoodle trained in the Soviet Union, Dr. Beetroot, an alcoholic who got free freaking livers replaced. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, Senior von Wyatt. Yeah, no, I mean, tell me what I got wrong there, folks. Tell me what I got wrong. I wrote that in June. Tuesday from White House. Ooh. Wow, we might be launching a war against Venezuela. 2 p.m. All right, good to know. Thanks, Max. Yeah, eat onions, garlic, and beetroot. Dr. Beetroot. You said it as I typed it. Yep. Seems like we can get our numbers up just by stopping our beetroot. English is second language, and I don't always agree with him, but he is interesting. Right, this virus doesn't care about skin pigmentation. It's just looking for a home. Yeah, let me read another one of these things I got from there. Let's see. Donald Trump's consequential first day. Okay, let me read that one. This is from January 29th. Donald Trump's consequential first day. Love him, hate him, hug him, escape him. However you feel about President Donald Trump, a genuine observer can only admit that Trump's return to office began with a bang. The newly minted second-term chief executive held court for 12 hours on his first day in office, spending more time with the public and the media than we have seen Joe Biden over the past 18 months. Or so it felt anyway. Trump also answered more questions in a single day than folks can recall Biden doing over the course of his 4 years in the office. Trump issued a veritable avalanche of executive orders, proclamations, pardons, and commutations at the Capital One Center sports arena not long after giving his ambitious inaugural address and continuing signing more in the Oval Office a couple hours later, taking questions from reporters while he signed them. With a thick black marker, Trump erased much of what Biden sought to accomplish in his first term, rolling back a passel of Biden actions to rousing applause from partisan Trump audience at the Capital One Center. Between there and the Oval Office, the new president ended diversity, equity, and inclusion in government, defined only 2 genders, declared national emergencies at the southern border and in energy, ordered the military to protect the border, directed investigations of government bureaucrats' undermining of elections, gave TikTok a 75-day window to work out a divestment deal, restored the death penalty, declared drug cartels terrorist organizations, suspended asylum abuses, ordered federal workers back to their offices, and ended the CBP One app that facilitated immigration abuse, and so much more. While the changes mentioned above will send a shock to the system, as it were, 3 other Trump actions are what will draw the most action from the resistance. The so-called resistance is a loose grouping of leftist organizations and politicians who openly state their intention to legally and illegally undermine the Trump administration. President Trump reversed 78 Biden-era executive orders. While that will annoy the political left, 3 Trump actions have become the focus of resistance, ire, and consternation. This includes pardons or commutations for over 1,500 January 6th accused, ending birthright citizenship, and the creation of the Presidential Advisory Commission, the Department of Government Efficiency. U.S. informed media have obsessed about the pardons, offering false impressions that the 1,500 committed violent crimes when the vast majority were guilty of minor misdemeanors or at most. The Department of Justice abused its authority to intimidate most of the accused in kangaroo court proceedings after threatening outrageous jail terms for minor misdemeanor allegations. Hundreds of defendants who could not afford attorneys for the defense took plea bargains, many of whom never even entered the Capitol building rather than face years in prison. The faux anger over Trump's January 6 pardons is in stark contrast to the free pass, or at least mild criticism for Biden pardoning his family and issuing nonsensical and unprecedented pardons for crimes not charged to protect the left's false January 6 narrative. If only the media were balanced and objective, reasonable observers would perhaps be more concerned about the January 6 pardons. By displaying a lack of objectivity, the media have lost all credibility. President Trump's executive order rescinding birthright citizenship drew not only the ire of the political left, but also raised eyebrows among many Trump supporters who probably embraced the idea, but realized the order is unlikely to survive legal challenges. Only a day after Trump signed the order, 22 states' attorneys general filed a lawsuit against the administration over the issue. The 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, ratified in 1868, grants full citizenship to all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. Illegal aliens are neither citizens nor legal residents subject to U.S. jurisdiction. The 14th Amendment was intended to reverse the constitutionally legal but repugnant Dred Scott decision of 1857, which determined that slaves were not citizens. In effect, the 14th Amendment reversed the Scott case, extending citizenship to former slaves. However, since the 1980s, this concept has been widely abused, leading to the concept of birth tourism and so-called anchor babies. Millions of children have been born to criminal aliens who have no legal basis to enter the United States, as well as Chinese nationals and others who visit the United States solely to give birth and secure unearned citizenship for their offspring. Trump's executive order rescinding birthright citizenship rests on shaky legal grounds. On January 23, 2025, U.S. District Judge John Coganor temporarily blocked President Trump's executive order, calling it blatantly unconstitutional. Not quite. While the judge's view has long been a widely accepted interpretation of the 14th Amendment, Trump may be counting on legal challenges to get this issue before the Supreme Court for a final verdict. If so, the president may have opened a window of scrutiny into the issue. The courts will decide the issue, or Congress could begin an amendment process. Meanwhile, Coganor's order blocks federal agencies from implementing the executive order while the case is under review. The president's new Presidential Advisory Commission, the Department of Government Efficiency, was the first executive action to face a challenge from the political left. Only minutes after Trump was sworn into office, DOJ faced 3 lawsuits over allegations that it violates the Federal Advisory Committee Act of 1972, which, among other requirements, states that all meetings are on public record and its membership be fairly balanced in its points of view. Public Citizens co-president Lisa Gilbert, who filed 2 of the lawsuits, claimed that as construct DOJ's mission to advise OMB and the White House on how to slash regulations and cut expenditures puts at risk important consumer safeguards and public protections. Bullshit. Adding that DOJ fails to consider how to more efficiently regulate companies to better protect consumers. That's not the role. How to eliminate wasteful and inefficient corporate subsidies and efficient public investments to make America stronger. There's no such thing as a public investment. That's bullshit. Public Citizen, founded in 1971 by consumer advocate and 3-time presidential candidate Ralph Nader, claims to be a nonpartisan, nonprofit consumer advocacy organization. The timing of the lawsuits prior to the establishment of DOJ undermines the credibility of the suits, giving the impression that they're intended more as political obstruction than genuine concerns over a 1972 law. Whatever the eventual outcome of these executive decisions, President Donald Trump is clearly far better prepared to govern this time than when he first entered office 8 years ago. Contemporary Trump is more seasoned, battle-tested, well-acquainted with Washington, D.C., prepared to take on his opponents, and full of ambition for himself and the country. As only the second president with non-consecutive terms in office, and only one of those 2 with term limits preventing him from running yet again, he has only 4 years to leave a legacy. With the clock running, Trump has begun his term with alacrity. There you go. Kev, you're out of the hospital. Good to hear that. Sorry you're in the hospital. And Mace is in the background, by the way, in case the people don't know it. She's listening. She had a hell of a day at the hospital. Crazy place. So, what did you guys think of that one? That was prescient too, huh? Marines always do beach landing exercise. It's because the world is treating HIV as a disability, not an epidemic. Exactly. I smelled a war brewing in Venezuela a few months back. I mentioned seeing the reports of beach landing Marines. But they always do that. Does Trump need approval from Congress to declare war? No. From Congress, yeah, declare war. Yes, sorry. You can't declare war. Only Congress can declare war. But Trump can take military action. I guess just has to inform Congress within 72 hours, I think it is, or something like that. Yep, and he gets 60 days. Yep. So, Trump rocks. So what you guys think of that? Mad Max has got another one for us here. I just met with the president. I'm recommending a full travel ban for every damn country that's been flooded or nation with killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies. Our forefathers built this nation on blood, sweat, and the unyielding love of freedom, not for foreign invaders to slaughter our heroes, suck our blood, suck our hard-earned tax dollars, and snatch our benefits owed to Americans. We don't want them, not one. It already has 3.3 million views. She only posted it 4 hours ago. Good Lord. Good Lord. Hey, Pearl. Wow, 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 wow. Gee, many crickets. That's crazy. New job at the aquarium. Okay, cool. So you're volunteering, though. Okay, Nadine, that's kind of you. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. That's crazy, man. Oh, my goodness. Gee, many crickets. Thank you for that one, Mad Max. Thank you for the clouds gathering. My goodness. Wow, 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 wow. That is insane. So what do you guys think of those articles? I'm on the Daily Fiend, Daily Friend. Yeah. Autocrats, not Democrats. July of 2024. On July 21st, 2004, shortly after 1 p.m. in Washington, a letter appeared posted on the personal X, formerly Twitter account of President Joe Biden, declaring that he would drop out of the presidential race. The letter, not a press conference, nor an Oval Office broadcast, is how Americans learned that the party which has endlessly called its opponent Donald Trump a threat to democracy and breathlessly claimed a democracy at stake proved their point. Only it's the Democratic Party, not Donald Trump, who has abrogated democracy. The connected, privileged elites have executed a palace coup after failing their multi-year effort to gaslight Americans in the world regarding Joe Biden's health and mental acuity. The self-anointed guardians of democracy who have stolen nomination from Democratic Party voters. They have defrauded 14.5 million American voters who chose Joe Biden in primary elections across the country over the past 6 months. The likes of Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, not Democratic Party voters, have selected Kamala Harris as the Democratic nominee to face former President Donald Trump. What does Biden have to say? Why drop out now? What changed from Sunday morning to Sunday afternoon? We really do not know, since no one has seen or heard of Biden since he reported contracted COVID. He has not appeared on television, radio, or even posted a video online since the letter was posted. Is he even alive? Is a question many sarcastically wonder. Does this matter to the world? Should it matter to South Africa? Abroad, the United States is often looked upon as an example of representative democracy, a republic to emulate. When that is not the case, American politicians and diplomats are busy trotting around the globe trying to get others to follow in our example. Yet here is the example the world should not seek to copy. What we see are the lengths that connected in big business, Wall Street, banks, and Hollywood will go to for craven political power. They have removed Biden from the race not because he isn't up to the task, he never was, but rather because he jeopardized their access and control over the halls of power in the most powerful country in the world. He can no longer make them any more money. That, it seems, is unforgivable. Biden should never have been president. He was propped up by the media as well as corporate and political elites because he is a pliable sock puppet who could be counted on to toe the line and line their pockets. At least that is what tens of millions strongly believe. Whether it's true, history will have to be the judge. What is clear is that the staged early presidential debate was a trap Biden stumbled into after the elites realized he needed to go. It was a trap that exposed his inability to be president, presenting an opportunity for a state to stage a palace coup. In the end, those who really control things did not want to be on the outside looking in for the next 4 years. As Biden's campaign floundered, Trump survived the Secret Service's incompetence, and his popularity continued to rise from a powerful and united Republican National Convention. The narrative had to shift. Wealthy Democrat voters and special interest money began drying up after Biden's disastrous debate performance. We, the world, have been the victims of the most open and obvious cover-up in living memory. Joe Biden's compromised ability to serve as president and his candidacy. Willing accomplices in the legacy media and the political establishment have lied to Americans and the world as their sock puppet progressively declined throughout the course of his presidency. Right there in the middle of that was Kamala Harris, the heir apparent. For months, the Biden team repeatedly insisted Joe was not dropping out. As late as Sunday morning, a mere 2 hours prior to the letter posted on Twitter announcing withdrawal, Biden team members were on the Sunday talk shows telling the world he was in the race to stay. But that all changed shortly afterwards. Why the sudden change of heart? It stands to reason that his abysmal debate performance, Secret Service failure in nearly letting an assassin eliminate his opponent, and droves of wealthy donors abandoning the sinking SS Joe Biden forced Joe into his LBJ moment. Insider sources also claim that on Sunday, apparently, his staffers decided the polls were so bad that there was no hope he could possibly beat Trump now, and then pushed Biden to quit. This begs the question, who runs the country? Biden? His staffers? Democratic Party elites? What comes next? Who will face Donald Trump on the Democratic ticket? This will mark the first time in nearly 60 years that a major party nominee will be selected outside the democratic process of primaries and caucuses. Do elections even matter when Democrats can orchestrate a coup to oust a sitting president, negating the votes of 14.5 million primary voters? It reminds me of the Polokwane massacre when Thabo Mbeki was ousted by the party and resigned as president of South Africa. Until now, this sort of thing was only possible in a parliamentary system with a vote of no confidence or a totalitarian regime where folks are escorted out of the room when their time is up. Biden endorsed Kamala Harris as the nominee. Harris, a deeply unpopular figure with little to nothing to show in the way of accomplishments despite 2 decades in government, is a once failed presidential candidate who did not even make it out of the Iowa caucus in 2020 race. Now she's heir apparent to Joe Biden, for the moment anyway. But it's not about popularity or even competence. It all comes down to what the connected and wealthy elites want. In the hours after Biden's letter, the $50 million in donations reportedly poured into Biden-Harris campaign coffers, now Harris, and a to-be-determined campaign. We come back to the question of whether the world or South Africans should care. On July 22, 1979, in Baghdad, in what came to be known as the Comrades Massacre, Saddam Hussein denounced members of his party, removed them from the hall, and had 22 senior Ba'ath officials executed outside the building. On the 22nd of October 2022, during the closing ceremony of the 20th National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party, Hu Jintao was removed and never seen again. The anti-democratic actions of the Democratic Party, while not as deadly as those of totalitarians, nonetheless are just as effective. The optics of this event are jarring for freedom-loving people the world over. Democrats have screamed from the rooftops that Trump is a fascist totalitarian. But Trump was nominated by Republican voters who overwhelmingly chose him. Whoever winds up being the Democratic Party nominee, it will not be the result of the will of the people, but rather the actions of the elite and their desire for craven political power. Democrats try to frighten us into believing Trump is an autocrat when it is they who are they who are projecting. At least now, in the words of Kamala Harris, perhaps we can be unburdened by what has been. What do you think of that, guys? I wrote that last year, too. Prescient and spot on, huh? Killing it, right? That's what real journalism sounds like, just fact reporting. Well, there's analysis in there. That's not just fact reporting, Krista. I mean, my analysis in there, too. It's opinion. Opinion and editorial, but it's fact-based. Oh, Warner Brothers and MultiChoice, it's going to terminate the contract, and they're going to lose a bunch of channels unless they sort something out very quickly. No doubt once the grand juries in the U.S. is over, they move on to the next steps. It will explode in the most fantastic way. Yep, thank you, Xavier. Ice cream for the first summoning. Free holiday 1,000 cash video. Is that for people to leave the country? The rumor that Biden, in the last moment of clarity, dominated Harris. I don't think he had clarity. I don't think the guy's had clarity for 20 years. He's been a freaking sock puppet forever. Garrett said excellent articles. Thank you for that, Garrett. Appreciate it. Yeah, well, Canal Plus owns it, so they'll bring their crappy European channels on there, but you're going to lose all the U.S. one. The contract is ending, and they probably want a lot more money. Yep. Senior von Rensburg wants his crystal ball back. Now I see why my husband is referring to you for years, Colonel. Good reporting. Thank you, legal alien. Replies came in for my question on the MTM Iran funding issue while CR and Jonas were CEOs of MTM. Yeah, that's going to be, and that's another thing. We don't know what the U.S. government knows about the MTN and the Iran thing. Well, that could be a whole other issue that's fueling all this. I didn't report on it because I don't have any proof. Just speculation. Yep. Thought the articles were well written and informative. Could it be that actual nonpartisan journalists wrote them? Yes, it could be. With me. Yep. Thank you, guys. I need to write some more. Every time I want to write an article, I got a million things going on. People demanding my attention. This taking my time. That taking my time. It's crazy. Keeps me so busy. Yep. Yep. Sorry for tuning in so late this morning. I just watched the interview with you and Steve. Amazing interview. And Steve can really make good conversation. Yeah, well, don't apologize for coming in late if you watched the interview with Steve. I mean, that's what I want people to do. Please do that. Yep. Please do that. That's very helpful. I appreciate that. Let me take a look here and see what's going on. Well, that one's got 5,000 views already, so that's not too bad. Trump deletes South Africa. That's so funny. I'm sorry. That's funny, guys. 5,400. It's just now taking off. It's been up for almost 3 hours, but people are sleeping for 3 hours. It's just now 7 o'clock, so hopefully it'll take off now. Yeah. Yep. Excellent analytical scale. So fee on analysis for my life decisions. DFT must fall. We can get our support elsewhere because that's the only reason most people haven't. Yeah, probably true. Sorry for tuning in. Okay, one regret I have is that I haven't been following your news analysis sooner. Hey, Marcel. Well, that's because YouTube hides me. You found me now, though, however you found me. So let's do, Xavier's leaving. So let's do a poll. I haven't done one of these in a bit. Let's do a poll, okay? We'll just see what the numbers are. Start a poll. When did you start watching on YouTube? 2020 to 2023, 2024, 2025. Okay, there's your poll options. The attorneys involved in the MTN saga basically said that grand juries are only called when the government has serious and convincing evidence. Well, that's the way it is in the States. That's why it's disheartening to see this nonsense about cases dismissed against James Comey and Letitia James because, or Letitia James, excuse me, not Alicia, Letitia James, because the grand jury is the ones who returned the indictment, not a federal prosecutor. The federal prosecutor presented the evidence, the grand jury indicted. Yep. So you stick around for the poll. Yep. Okay. Man in the mirror is telling me it's time to pay. Okay. And Maze is in the background, folks, in case you're wondering. She had a hell of a day with the hospital. Sick world. Anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna start a new segment, the People's Court. We'll do a segment of the program. It's time now for the People's Court. Today's case is guilty or innocent. I already ordered myself a gavel and a little block to hit it on. So this is a crab mallet here, but I got a proper gavel coming. It's already on its way. So we're going to have the People's Court. Folks, not Barat, that would be wrong. That's Folks Council. Well, we could call it Folks Barat. That would work, wouldn't it? All right, thanks for voting, Xavier. Well, that's awesome, Rudolph. Well, I'm glad that you found me and you're watching this. It's really cool. What's too long, Malcolm? Oh, excuse me. I'm tired. My goodness. Long day. That Steve interview was epic. Let me see how that's doing, by the way. See something real quick here. Steve interview. It was at 4,400 when we were live. 5,000 when I looked earlier. Now see where it's at. Something like that doesn't typically grow a lot, but it's at 5,700, so that's 1,300 views since we shut it down. And it might, might pick up again here. Oh, maybe not. But I was hoping to pick up today. Got 15,000 on when I did it in 2020, but everybody was glued to their computers back then, their phones, because they were all trapped because of lockdown. Anyway. But the one I just put out on the G20 with Trump, let's see how that's doing. That one is at, let's see. Come on. 5,500. It is in the band for normal performance now, but it's starting to peak and go up. So hopefully it'll pick up a bit more. Yeah, please watch that, Kevin. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. A lot of people said they're not Steve fans, but they really enjoyed the video, and now they kind of like him. Judge Deneen. Since late 2024. Yeah, well, we could do that. We could do that. I could have a call-in session, do a People's Court session. The People's Court. I'll be the judge, and then we'll pick somebody, the prosecutor, and somebody can be the defendant. But it's going to be hard to find defendants because we know they're all guilty. Defense counsel, yep. Joe Brown, he's funny, yep. Appreciate all your news. Get some rest. Everyone else have a great day. All right, Mandy, take care. Yep, 121 votes. There's 263 people here. Since February, yeah. Yeah, Max. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, yeah, so let me take a look and see if anything's come out on News 24 while we've been online, because there was nothing earlier. Close this down. Yeah, I've got, in the morning, I've got Mike Sham. I gotta get up early for that. Excuse me. Oh. I hope it's not contagious. Men recruited for Russia's war. Links between Sumasambula and Mantula. Adrian Basson asks, is Europe South Africa's new best friend? No. 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 I'm sorry. Europeans never follow through. Ursula von der Leyen. South Africa has a long and checkered history with Europe. In the 17th century, thousands of Dutch, German, and French settlers established replenishment stations at Cape Good Hope for ships traveling east. The most powerful of these was Dutch East India Company, overseen by Jan van Riebeck. No, the Dutch East India Company was not overseen by Jan van Riebeck. Jan van Riebeck was the governor of the Dutch East India Company's Cape Town station. Adrian Basson. No, he didn't oversee the Dutch East India Company. European settlers weren't here to negotiate. Their superior armor enabled them to expropriate land without compensation and force local Khoisan African residents into slavery. No, see, that's not true. No, sorry. The Khoisan refused to be enslaved. They would sit there and be beaten to death rather than be enslaved. They weren't slaves. That's why they imported slaves from Malaysia and Indonesia. Wow. Boy, Adrian Basson, you're just making shit up, man. Oh, my goodness. And much of the land was unoccupied. There was no concept of land tenure as Europeans knew it. Good Lord. Slavery was formally abolished in 1834 in South Africa, 31 years before the U.S. By then, South Africa was under British rule. Well, you want credit for 31 years before the U.S.? We ended the slave trade in 1808. When did you end it? Out of the mainly Dutch descended settlers, they're mostly German, by the way, the settlers, the Afrikaners and Boers, an indigenous white African tribe with mixed lineages were born. Many Afrikaner families have mixed ancestors, including Dutch, German, French, and Indian Bengal blood, and Khoi and San. By 1910, South Africa was union under the British Empire. By 1961, the country became a republic under white rule. By then, Afrikaner-led National Party was in government, overseeing the implementation of apartheid segregation. Today, there are approximately 3 million Afrikaners in South Africa, representing about 5% of the country's total population. European settlers left an indelible mark on the psyche and landscape of South Africa. As an Afrikaner, I don't see myself as European, but I acknowledge my ancestry, which is linked to Dutch and German settlers. But funny how most of the Nguni-speaking peoples don't recognize their lineage from Cameroon. The impact of our European colonial period is undeniable, from our Dutch Roman legal system to our thriving wine industry, courtesy of Van Riebeck. Actually, Simon van der Stel is the guy that's responsible. Van Riebeck planted a grapefruit, but van der Stel created the industry. The legacy of Europe is now... This guy doesn't even know his own history. He doesn't even know the history. Yes, Jan van Riebeck brought grapes in, but he didn't start the industry. The industry was started by Simon van der Stel, who was a colored. The impact of our European colonial period is undeniable. Okay. This makes our bilateral relationship with the continent interesting. Firstly, we are no longer in the subservient position as slaves to our European masters. Well, the white people never were slaves, dumbass. Secondly, Europe was a significant responsibility towards South Africa and the rest of the continent for extracting and plundering minerals, wealth, and even art for centuries. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. The strong will do what they like. The weak will suffer what they must. Might makes right. You may not like it. It may be unpalatable. That's too bad. Oh, my goodness. I was pleasantly surprised to see how passionately European countries, the EU, have supported South Africa's presidency over the past year. Relationships between the ANC and Europe weren't always rosy. Many comrades continue to repeat platitudes about the terrible West. Well, that's not a platitude. A platitude is praise. Okay, let me look this word up. Maybe I'm wrong. I'll allow for the fact that maybe Adrien Basson is right. Platitude definition. A remark or statement, especially with moral content, has been used too often to be interesting or thoughtful. Okay, I guess platitude works there. But it's almost always used in a positive sense. When Russia invaded Ukraine, the ANC refused to condemn. Two things happened. 24 brought South Africa and Europe close to the formation of government national unity after the ANC failed to obtain a majority, and the inauguration of Donald Trump as president of the United States. Well, in 2024, Trump wasn't inaugurated, Adrien Basson. This guy can't even check basic facts. You see those articles that I wrote? I went back and double-checked all my facts when I claimed that this event occurred in 2002, when this happened, the amount of money. I verified with sources. I verified with sources. He's just making shit up. Trump wasn't president in 2024. He didn't become president until January 20th of 2025. I mean, it's a trivial point, but the point is that if you can't be bothered to get that right, we're supposed to take anything you say seriously? Ugh. Trump has been a major foe of South Africa and Europe. No, he hasn't. He's been the strongest ally of Europe. People in the press just lie about him. Because of Trump, the Europeans are able to defend themselves. Yeah, because they insist they actually spend money in defense. Combine the EU as South Africa's largest trading partner. There's no such thing. There's no such. You can't. That's idiotic. Idiotic. Combined. There is no combined. France doesn't trade through Germany to come to South Africa. Germany doesn't trade through France to come to South Africa. Netherlands. They all trade from their own ports, their own national interests, their own corporate interests. You want to look at trade? You look at China. You want to look at trade? Look at the USA. You want to look at trade? Look at Australia. Look at Poland. Look at Germany. Don't look at the European Union. That doesn't exist. As a trading, it doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. That's ridiculous. By calling out Trump's lies, ignoring his calls to boycott the G20. First off, you're a liar, Adrien Basson. Trump never asked anyone to boycott the G20. He simply said, we're not coming. We're not coming to your party. That's not a boycott. He didn't organize other people to avoid you. Wow. Wow. What lies? What lies is Trump telling? He doesn't tell you what lies. This passes. He just assumes everybody thinks Trump's lying. This guy's pathetic. He just spent a week in France and had fascinating conversations with French scholars, politicians, business people about the emergence of a new multilateral bloc of nations that will move forward to trade and invest despite Trump's whims and tariffs. Good luck with that. You all fail without the United States. Keep deluding yourself. Men recruited for Russia's campaign. Links between these two. And thank you, Max. We got another thing coming up. What's going on with Max now? He's put another one up there. I'll come back to this in a minute. Just read my last. Oh, FYI, you don't want me to read it out loud. Okay, well, thank you. All right, we'll see. Oh, I've got an update from Anna Kruger. It says, good morning. Yes, we are okay. Getting help so much. I can't thank you and the towing people as well as the person helped me enough for what they're doing for us. It was hectic yesterday as we haven't slept for 36 hours, but much better today. Today is our face-to-face interviews and 4th and 5th medicals. The car isn't fixed yet because the children forgot to give the car key to them. But if they have a chance today, hopefully, we have wonderful people helping us, and so is God. You must have an awesome day, and I'll keep in touch. Excellent. Great to hear. All right, thank you for the update on the Kruger. So there you go, folks. Thank you to the Wyatt Army for jumping out there and helping. Yep. Yeah, Kathy, I know we're going to see him. I'm going to see it for. People fail to use their lying eyes. So frustrating. Drunken Yodi, you've been here for a long time, man. Aren't you still in Georgia? The cases will be brought before you, not pressing the like button. Guilty as charged. Well, we'll bring Pala Pala. The arms deal. Zandila Gumeda. Vereda Dairy Farm. We'll bring all these cases. Actually, we'll focus on the more current ones. Every day there's a new one. LMC Afrikaners can understand Dutch. It isn't many years removed. As Nguni's, we can understand any language in Cameroon. Yeah, because you came sooner, LMC. You came sooner. The Nguni-speaking peoples traversed the Zambezi about 1,300 years ago. That's a full 800-900 years before Europeans arrived. Yeah, well, yeah, 1,300, yeah, long time ago. So, about 1,300 years ago. So, yeah, it's a much longer time period you've been separated from the folks in Cameroon. But there's no doubt, DNA-wise, genetically we can prove it, linguistically we can prove it, the antecedent origins of Nguni languages all come from that region. And the culture, the cattle rearing and such, all come from that. So, of course, those people, they spread all over. It's one of the most successful colonization efforts in the history of humankind. One of the most successful colonizations ever. The Nguni-speaking peoples and the people from West Africa spreading across Cameroon to the west and then going east and then coming down the Great Rift Valley after they ran into a roadblock with the Neolithic peoples in Uganda. Not going any further. You weren't going to push them around. So they couldn't get there, couldn't go any further east, couldn't go any further north. So they went south. And it was made sense. The Rift Valley is rich in resources, water, grass for grazing. It was fantastic. And over time, people were fruitful, multiplying, continued to move south, and groups kept going. They displaced the pygmies in the Congo and, chased them into the bush. And those who survived are still around today. And they kept going south. But the Nguni-speaking peoples were much further separated by almost a millennium from their antecedent origins actually more than a millennium, more than a millennium. It's 1,300 years ago they came to South Africa, but we go back a few thousand years before that when they first moved out of Cameroon. So we're talking a few thousand years. Whereas the Europeans relocated in 1652, thereabouts, plopped down here, and we're only talking 350 years ago, 380 years ago. So, yeah, you're right about that, IMC. You can't distinguish. I know that. I know that you can't speak Tree. And I know you can't speak Yoruba, and you can't even recognize it because it's been so far removed. I can barely understand Old English because of the time frame. I can read some Old English, but I got to really focus, but I can't pronounce it. There's people that can pronounce, but Old English is tough, and that's not even a millennium old. So that's how much English has changed over time. It was a Germanic language that was heavily influenced by Norse and Celtic, and then Latin influenced it, and then it was completely revolutionized and changed by the addition of Norman French, excuse me. Changed it completely. Well, welcome, LMC. How you doing there? That's the most prescient thing I've heard you say in donkey years. Thank you for sharing that. Not all Afrikaners can understand Dutch, but yes, generally speaking, that's much more. But few Dutch can understand Afrikaans. Michael Marks, I've offered to teach at academia. No, I've not pursued it, and no one has come back to me and said we want to offer you I was willing to be a visiting professor at academia, so maybe that'll come true at some point. Yes, Karen. Irish were shipped by Oliver Cromwell and generations of English. They raided the shores of Ireland and captured young men and women, chained them into ships, and shipped them to the Caribbean, where they worked on sugarcane plantations before Africans began arriving there years later. It was until around the 1680s that they started planting Africans in some of these British colonies in the Caribbean. Up until then, they'd been using Irish slaves. Yep. And the problem with the Irish is that they weren't necessarily distinguishable from a distance because of their appearance. And they tended to speak English, and so, they knew what to avoid. In fact, in some of these islands, I think it's in Bahamas, if I'm not mistaken, there's what was a colony of escaped Irish slaves and some of their African compadres or compatriots who wound up settling in one remote part of the island, and they still speak a funny version of the language. Yeah. So, also, don't forget that the Barbary pirates kidnapped and the Arabs kidnapped millions of whites, millions and millions of whites, enslaved them, raped them, impregnated them, castrated them. Yeah, I mean, we have the sad story in the 1870s of an Icelandic priest who his family and he were living close to the shore in Iceland when the Barbary pirates arrived. And they captured them. They burned their house to the ground, their homestead, took them on a ship back to Algiers. They castrated the father, and then they enslaved the mother as a concubine. And they sold the children off as slaves. He never saw his kids again. He was castrated, could never reproduce. And then after 20 years, because he spoke Latin and he spoke Icelandic and he learned Arabic very quickly because he was educated, that man was given his freedom by the Bey, which is the ruler of Algiers. And the Bey of Algiers gave him his freedom. He managed to sail back to Iceland, and he wrote a book about his experiences being enslaved. The Middle East was the home of millions and millions and millions of European slaves. The Greeks were enslaved. Bulgarians were enslaved. Poles and Estonians and Russians and Belarusians were enslaved by the Tatars and the Golden Horde. Whites, there are far more whites have been enslaved throughout history than the number of blacks put in slavery. This obsession with the number of black people put in slavery because of the transatlantic slave trade, and this self-loathing by white liberals. It's a miserable, horrible thing. It never should have happened. But the number of white and other people around the world that have been enslaved throughout history dwarfs the transatlantic slave trade, which we were lied to as a kid. I was told that 50 million blacks were enslaved and shipped across the Atlantic, and half of them died en route. Both of those are bullshit stories. That's what I was told in school. And then later, only to do research and find out that the number was revised downward from 50 million to 20 million. And then it was revised downward to the actual number between 8 and 12 million, which is a horrible number. But it's over the course of 3+ centuries. Break it down by year. The numbers are not much. And by the way, most of those slaves didn't even come to America. They didn't teach us that in school. I was never taught that in high school. Do you know where those slaves went? They went to Brazil and the Caribbean. 90+% of them, only 4% of the slaves in the transatlantic slave trade ever came to America. So if the slavery, which is a terrible institution, had been so brutal and dehumanizing, which it is, but so terrible to the survival of folks, how the hell do we get 45 million black people? How the hell do we get 45 million black people? Because until the 1990s, that population was never reinforced with black Africans coming over here for the most part. It wasn't until after 1990 that a small number of black Africans began migrating here in large numbers. And now we have 3 million of them. But we have 45 million black Americans who are descended from an earlier epoch. We didn't ship 45 million people here. And before you say, oh, it's because the white master raped all the women. No, a lot of consensual relationships there. Like for instance, what's her name? Vanessa Williams, the model, the actress, the mixed race girl who went to an all-white girls' school in rich, preppy, New York. Vanessa Williams, who grew up in wealth, when they did her story about her family history, Vanessa Williams was in awe of her great-great-grandparents. Her great-great-grandparents were a colored, mixed race, free man living in Oyster Bay on Long Island, married to a white woman in 1850. 1850, a decade before the Civil War. A free black man. They never tell you that the North was full of thousands of free black people because they only focus on slavery. That doesn't abrogate or ameliorate the situation of people in slavery. And that's not the intent of my comment. But the intent of my comment is that if you want to understand history, you have to know the full history. You have to tell the whole story, the true story. Like how the Europeans slaughtered the Native Americans. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. The total number of Native Americans slaughtered or killed over the course of 3 centuries of warfare is in the order of 20,000 or something like that. That's it. Not much more. What decimated them were diseases. And it wasn't disease warfare. Millions of people died in the Mississippi Basin. Probably 12 to 20 million people died before the first European ever had contact with Native Americans. Do you know why? Because the Spanish galleons landed in what was Florida, and they brought pigs with them, pork, and they brought poultry with them, and they came ashore, and they brought influenza with them, and swine flu, and smallpox. Not intentionally, that's just the nature. They were all exposed to it, and they had more robust systems because they've been exposed to it for a long time. That stuff was carried by Indians who met with them to other Indians, and 12 to 20 million, including the Choctaw Indians and all the others in the Mississippi Basin, died. They just completely wiped out. Communities with 95% or greater mortality before the first European ever came. The Europeans didn't have to conquer them. There was nothing left to conquer. They were dead. They were dead. Completely wiped out. But that history is never told. But it's all documented. We have the evidence of it. Lots of stuff documented by Franciscan friars and by monks and even Native Americans who became literate, writing these things down. But they don't tell you these stories. I need to take a breath. So cool to see me live. First time. Well, hey, Sins, welcome to you. I guess that's Cindy. Welcome. People's Court will be fun with a jury. All right, Sue Marie. Yes, people, please share that interview with Steve. Yep. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Europe were the original exploiters of Africa. Now they're Europe's friend. That's comical. But the refugee program is only taken off in 23, 25. Could have saved more minorities if what was happening. South Africans believed and taken seriously earlier. Well, Del Marie, some of us believed, some of us reported on for years in the intelligence community. Politicians make the decisions, though, not intelligence professionals. So after midnight, it is, yeah. Do you know cats and humans' yawns affect each other? Yeah, I used to have cats. They used to make me yawn. Stubborn and hellbent to believe they're right, and everything that goes south, they won't take responsibility. Yeah, they're just arrogant. The Dutch East India Company had a policy of not enslaving locals as effect of trading with them. Exactly, Charles. But Adrien Basson is telling people that they enslaved them. No. And of course, there are exceptions. People tried to enslave people, but that doesn't mean that slavery was an institution. They had to import slaves. That's how Islam made it into South Africa. Yeah, the ANC said all Europeans should leave. Oh my word, I didn't know that. What's that, Zay Martinez? What didn't you know? The black tribes have their own slave industry. Well, where do you think the slaves came from? West Africa, from slave traders. Who do you think sold blacks into military? And by the way, you ever notice there's not a large black population in Tunisia, in Algeria, in Libya, in Egypt, in Palestine? Virtually no black people. Do you know why? Because they sold males. You know what they did? They cut their testicles off so they couldn't reproduce. Yeah, they castrated them all. Yes. Virtually everyone was castrated. So there's virtually no black population. There's a small number of black Tunisians who consider themselves Arab. They're not genetically Arab. They're West African. And obviously their ancestors didn't have their nuts cut off. They survived. Yep. The San and Khoi are the only true indigenous people. Yeah, and they're not even indigenous. Homo naledi was there 2 million years ago, long before the Khoi and San existed as a species. Yep. Yeah, Jan van Riebeeck is buried in Jakarta. Yep, that's right. Yes, he left Batavia. That's correct. You should come teach history. Oh, I'd love to teach history. Love to teach history there. Mad Max, thank you for the 14 rand. People seem to think the Europeans ran into the jungle catching people in the slave trade. They bought almost all the slaves from blacks who were enslaving them. The problem is that Europeans were efficient, and they industrialized the slave trade. Blacks had not done that in West Africa. They had not industrialized it. They used slave trading as a way to make money and to gain favor and to wipe out opponents. Yeah, and the nature of slavery in West Africa is different than where they sold the slaves off into the Arab slave trade. And let's not forget the Arab slave trade in East Africa. The whole reason that Zanzibar exists is because it was a slave trading hub. And they slipped them to Oman and to Saudi Arabia and to the Middle East. I used to teach for the Department of Commerce through Berlitz. And I know why I don't teach them anymore, because I had this section about Africa and I talked about slave trade. And I talked about transatlantic slave trade. Then I would talk about slave trade through the Sahel and the Sahara into the Middle East, and also about the Arab slave trade in the East and about how much longer that slave trade went on for 1,300 years. 1,300 years. Slaves were only brought from West Africa around 1600, a little bit after that, until 1800, 200 years. But for 1300 years, Africans sold Africans into slavery to Arabs. Arabs enslaved them in North. And I told that story, and I had a woke shithead in one of my classes that I taught for Department of Commerce. And I used to make good money on that every day. I made some good money. And I'm sure they complained. They didn't like the fact that I told the truth because it didn't meet their wokeness. If I was teaching a course now, nothing would happen. But this was during COVID and when the woke ruled still. And I lost that. I don't teach for them anymore. I haven't heard from them in years. And I know why. Because of that. That's why. Stupid stuff. They don't like the truth. They can't handle the truth. And I didn't say that it was worse or better, and I didn't ignore the transatlantic slave trade. I called it for what it was. But people just don't like the truth because it just doesn't fit their narrative. I just want to say I think you're probably the most smartest person who knows history. God bless. You're welcome, Saint Silas. There's an interesting history on the Amazon basin regarding the loss of entire civilization to disease. 20 million people, yeah, in 100 years. The more I watch what the ANC does and towards Trump, the more I think it's World Economic Forum speaking. Yeah. Your knowledge amazes me. You're a fountain of information. Thank you. We can rectify by learning. Never too old to gain new knowledge. No, life should be, or learning should be a lifelong endeavor. I'm learning stuff all the time. I'm reading stuff all the time. All the time. Here, look. These are older copies of magazines I've had around for a while. I pulled them out. The first Indochine War. The French fighting the Vietnamese. 11 Days of War. World War I on the East Front. Austro-Hungarian Empire fighting in the East. World War I. And the Battle of Finland, 1944. Something I know very well, the story of the Winter War and the Continuation War. But 1944, Finland. And they had to fight against the Soviets and against the Germans. Yep, 1950s. 1954, Dien Bien Phu. Ever in the world was Mansa Musa. Yes, he was a slave trader from Timbuktu. I think it was Timbuktu or Mali, from Mali. And he had so much gold, he just gave, I mean, he was probably worth a couple $1 trillion in today's actual value. Wealthiest man in history. Yeah, he's a slave trader. Exactly. You know, and people are like, oh, we don't know African history. Really? Do you know why? Because you don't want to know African history. You don't want to know it. You want to hear about Wakanda, which doesn't exist. You don't want to hear about the slavery in Egypt. You don't want to hear about the slavery in Aksum. You don't want to hear about the slavery in Songhai. You want to hear about the slavery in Mali or ancient Ghana. No, that doesn't fit your narrative. Black folks are noble. And I'm not saying they're not noble. But that's history. And ignoring it doesn't make it better. It doesn't make people who are black today wrong or morally, fallible. It's just the history. But history is used as a cudgel to attack white people specifically. Oh, white people were evil because they perpetrated slave trade. No, they didn't. They inherited slave trade from Africans. I mean, Europeans had slavery. I mean, the Romans had tons of slaves. The Vikings had tons of slaves. Anyway, it's the nature of humanity. It's the human condition. Yep. Yep. Yeah, well, that's the story. Supposedly the sharks that changed their patterns because they fall for all the bodies being dumped overboard. Yep. That's pretty nice of you to say that, Marcel. Watching you must be what it felt like to Alexander the Great being taught by Aristotle. Yeah, the Vikings did assimilate slaves, and that's so. One of the interesting things about Iceland, which has one of the best DNA archives and genetic archives on the planet, one of the nice things about Iceland is that there was, thank you, Desmond, for your membership, is that for the longest time, the supposition, the belief was that Icelanders were overwhelmingly Norse from Norway. Maternally and paternally, that's where all the ancestors came from. But DNA shows that that's not true. That in fact, the vast majority of mitochondrial DNA, I mean Icelanders, men and women, the mitochondrial DNA doesn't come from the Norse lands of the fjords of Norway, or from the Shetlands or the Orkneys, which is where some of the Norse came from. The males did. Overwhelmingly, the males came from the Norse lands, or they were settled in Shetland or in the Orkneys, which were leapfrogging steps for Viking settlement. Thank you for the clouds must be gathering there, Riffs. So that's where the vast majority of the paternal DNA, the Y chromosome, comes from. But the overwhelming majority of the mitochondrial DNA comes from where? Somebody want to guess? Somebody want to guess where the Icelanders' maternal DNA comes from? Anybody want to guess? Tell me where you think the maternal DNA of most Icelanders comes from in the mitochondrial DNA. By the way, mitochondrial is not even human. Did you know that? We are composed of aliens. We got lots of gut bacteria biome in there, but we also have the thing that makes our cells work, that creates energy so we can survive, so we can have respiration and our heart can function and we can move. You know what does that? Mitochondria. Mitochondria. And it's alien. It's an alien that wound up in our bodies. It's not human. Norway, says Mad Max. No, I just said they're not from Norway. Norse is Norway. They're not from Norway. They're not from Africa, silly person. Not from America. Anybody wants to guess? All right, nobody seems to know. I'm going to say Ireland. Ireland! Most of the mitochondrial DNA of Icelanders is Irish. Do you know why? Because the Norse took Icelandic women as concubines and slaves and took them to Iceland. I mean, look at it, guys. If you lived in Norway, as beautiful as Norway is, unless you were forced out because it's overpopulated, which is why a lot of Vikings left, why would you leave Norway to go live in Iceland? It's freaking cold. But if you stop in Ireland on your way there and do some trading in Dublin or the other Viking outposts, and you buy yourself some Irish slave girl with lovely red hair or blonde hair and blue eyes, and you take her off and you have your way with her and reproduce, hey, next thing you know, you got a whole population growth. They had settlements in Dublin. They founded Dublin. Dublin was founded by the Irish. York was founded by the Irish. Old Viking Jorvik. Yep. Yeah, Irish. Irish. Ain't that something? Ain't that just something? Who knew? The Icelanders didn't know that until they started doing DNA studies. When they looked at mitochondrial DNA, and they found out, in fact, that they were wrong. The historians were incorrect. They were mistaken that most of the women came from the Norse lands of Norway or the Orkneys or Shetland. They didn't. They came from Ireland. They've been knocking boots with the Irish chicks, man. Yep. Yep, that's right. That's right. Yep, that's why a lot of Vikings are redheaded. So they're Scandinavian Celtic. You don't believe me? Look it up. Look it up. No, Mad Max, it's not a record. Man, we've done 9-hour streams, man. You're too new to the channel. Joy Thron, how's it going? Yep. All right, it is time to hit the rack, though, folks. It is now 12:30 in the morning, 2.5 hours. Be sure to hit that like button if you haven't done already. We've kept a straight audience of over 200 for almost this entire stream, over 2 hours. I want to thank you all for that. That's a lot of fun. Hope you enjoyed it. Please check out my videos that I publish. I'm going to work on the Steve Hofmeyer music now, see if I can't get it done before 1 o'clock. It makes a lot of sense when you think about it, Charles, but people didn't think about that. They didn't think about that. It's presumed, and they presumed falsely. And in fact, if you took the time anthropologically to look at the knitting and the needles and the fabric and stuff, you learn that it seems, once you know the DNA components, like, wait, this makes a lot more sense. Ireland. Anyway. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I'm going to do the music video now. Steve sent me a lot of photos. Might take me a while. If it takes too long, I'll just go to bed. I'm being interviewed by Mike Sham in the morning at 9 o'clock, so I do need to get some sleep, so I'm fresh for that. And it's Tuesday. You guys take care. Thanks for being here, and be well. God bless. Cheers. Little by little, clouds are gathering. Buy tickets. Yeah, maybe. Thank you. Thank you so much, Saint and Sills, for that membership. Thanks for the super chats. Good night, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.